Vamos al lío. Vamos al lío. Vale. Esto ya debería estar. Verme un poquito las gafitas. No me coge un vasito de agua. Error mío. Pero bueno. Ahí estamos. Muy buenas, chavales. Ahora ya sí que está. Ya sí que me sale esto de que estamos. Así que muy buenas. ¿Cómo estamos? Voy saludando, que por ahora solo hay 3 personas. Así que vamos a ver. Voy saludando que tenemos a Oso Polar, que dice que es el primero, muy bien. Y dice que hoy va a salir Malerion, sí, claro, por supuesto. Kumbal, alaba a Nagas todo el rato, pues me parece perfecto por ti, Kumbal. Como siempre, ¿no? Con tus ejércitos de muerte. Sergio, que bueno, pues Sergio ahí está. No puede estar con nosotros, pero bueno, pues siempre que puede, está en el chat. Me he puesto un poquito de vientecito. Andrés, Mini Renolito. Así que bueno, muy buenas, muy buenas. ¿Qué esperáis? ¿Qué esperáis de esta preview? ¿Vale? Vamos a hacer una recapitulación un poquito así rápida de lo que dijeron justo en este vídeo que tenemos aquí arriba, ¿vale? Aquí tendríamos los juegos que saldrían en la preview. Vamos a tirar un poquito más, que esté más centrado ahí. ¿Vale? Y vamos a hablar un poquito de qué podríamos esperar dentro de los juegos, ¿vale? Por lo que dicen en el vídeo, por lo que dicen en el vídeo. Benítez, muy buenas. ¿Qué decían en el vídeo? Pues bueno, dentro de lo que hay es de Warhammer 40.000 hablaban un poquito de escenografía, así que quizá todavía haya alguna escenografía de esta prepintada por ahí que falta por anunciar y cositas así. Y hablaban del primer códex o del primer ejército, no me acuerdo si decían exactamente el primer ejército o el primer códex, pero más o menos un primer vistazo al primer ejército que va a salir de 40k, que obviamente o va a ser marines o va a ser orcos. Así que por ahí yo creo que no deberíamos de sorprendernos mucho en ese aspecto. Bien, ¿qué más tenemos? Pues tenemos, de hecho Sigmar, bueno, de hecho Sigmar lo dejo a lo último, ¿vale? Haceme eso. De herejía de Horus y de leyes imperialis, por ejemplo, ¿qué decían? Decían, porque decían solo herejía de Horus y decían algo así como más marines, ¿vale? Más, bueno, más que más marines, completar gama de miniaturas. Entonces, pues no sé qué gamas les faltan, no sé si faltará por ahí Dark Mechanicum, que han ido sacando y cosas así, o Solar Auxilia o cositas así, ¿vale? Entonces, pues hay que tener en cuenta eso, ¿vale? Bien, ¿qué más tenemos? ¿Qué más tenemos? Bueno, Necromunda decían una nueva caja, ¿vale? De Kill Team y de Necromunda decían una nueva caja. Y yo, por los rumores que he escuchado de Necromunda, decían de Esker o Escher, como lo digáis, versus Goliath. ¿Sabéis? Las dos bandas más icónicas, yo creo que dentro de Necromunda. Pues iban a recibir nueva caja. Supongo que será una especie de nueva edición, porque lo de los mundos subterráneos ya creo que ya está agotado. Ya todo el mundo tiene como sus bichillos, sus cosillas. Así que yo creo que debería de ir por ahí. Y de Kill Team creo que también hablaban de una nueva caja. Y lo que se dice de la nueva caja, según los rumores que yo he podido leer y escuchar por ahí, era que hay como más o menos unas 3 bandas que están ahí dentro de los rumores. Una de ellas es la Legión de los Condenados, otra son Exoditas de los Eldar y una tercera son orquitos, ¿vale? Orquitos. Orcos, no me acuerdo qué clase de orcos, ¿vale? Pero se dice que esas son 3 bandas de las dentro de los rumores de las que podrían caer. Así que pues por ahí tendríamos un poco de eso. En el Blood Bowl, ¿qué decían? De Blood Bowl decían el retorno de un jugador o algo así, ¿no? Y hacía Dan como algo en plan una pregunta de no me acuerdo de su nombre o cómo se llamaba ese o algo así. Y yo por ahí he leído que según el tema de los libretos, estos tal y cual, hay un jugador estrella de Kenry que falta por salir o algo así, ¿vale? Así que, pues bueno, pues por ahí, ¿vale? Por ahí dicen cositas. También hay algún otro jugador estrella, ¿vale? Pero básicamente, pues según lo que dicen en el vídeo y tal, pues tocaría jugador estrella. Y ya nos metemos en All War. En All War, dentro del vídeo dice Massive Thing, two heads, ¿vale? Solo dice eso, Massive Things, two heads. Así que dice, una cosa muy grande, dos cabezas, dragón del caos. ¿Vale? Lo que pasa es que como hay muchos rumores del tema de que va a haber cierta renovación por la parte de caos y que incluso les van a sacar una caja contra Katai, con una especie de mini actualización o 1.5 de reglas o algo así, ¿vale? Una actualización del tema del reglamento y cosas así, pues todavía queda esperanza para los jugadores de TOW de que salga también eso, ¿vale? Salga también cositas de guerreros del caos, caballeros y cosillas así, ¿vale? De ese tipo de muñecos que supuestamente van a renovar. A mí me parece un poco una idea muy absurda por parte de Game Workshop, pero bueno, ellos verán el plan que tienen, teniendo en cuenta que pues, pueden tirar de una cosa a otra, pero bueno, eso ya son cosas de Game Workshop que no podemos, ¿no? Dilucidar porque ellos tienen una mente un poquito rara, son ingleses y es lo que hay, ¿no? Pero bueno, dentro de esos ejércitos, bueno, de eso, en lo que estoy seguro, o lo que parece seguro, es el dragón del caos para eso. Y lo que no dicen es que vaya a salir más ejércitos o más cosas, como en el resto de cosas que te dicen, oye, una caja con dos van, bueno, una caja de Kill Team, una no sé qué, tal, que ya se intuye que va a haber varias miniaturas, muchas más miniaturas. En cambio, con esto solo dice una cosa. Entonces, pues, eso está asegurado, lo otro, pues a saber. Yo me lo esperaría para más tarde, pero bueno, si realmente va a salir eso. Y de hecho, Sigmar, hay cierta controversia, ¿vale? Porque Eddie dice un nuevo ejército, claro, dice nuevo ejército, sabemos que toca ogros, sabemos más o menos que toca ogros, y de hecho luego en el vídeo dicen greedy, dice que se ha quedado con hambre o algo así, no sé, utilizan expresiones que tiran por ogros, ¿vale? Entonces, yo creo que va a tocar la renovación de ogros, 100%, ¿vale? Y para mí no va a salir nada más, ¿vale? Para mí no creo que enseñen nada más, que ya es bastante, porque fijaos, van a estar una horita seguramente, una hora como mucho, un 20 tal, pero entre todas esas cosas es que son 8 juegos y ya a la mínima que te tires 10 minutitos con cada cosa, es que se te va, ¿vale? Se te va el tiempo. Y cada cosa 10 minutos fácilmente, menos Blood Bowl, yo creo que con las otras cosas 10 minutos pueden estar perfectamente. Entonces, claro, hay que tener eso en cuenta, ¿no? Que no creo que vaya a más el tema de hecho Sigmar, que ya es bastante la renovación de Ogros, y a ver cómo queda la cosa, ¿vale? Yo espero que esté bastante bien. No, no espero gran cosa al nivel de diseño. Bueno, espero que mejoren un poco el nivel de diseño porque ya sabéis que yo hay dos ejércitos que he odiado toda mi vida en Fantasy. Los he odiado, no queda otra. Uno de ellos es el Imperio, el otro es esos Ogros. Es que es Ogros, es que lo odio, ¿vale? No me gusta, estéticamente lo odio, no me gusta nada, ¿vale? Entonces, para mí, yo espero que haya un cambio estético para que me agrade más. No creo que me vaya a ser una locura para mí, de en plan, "Ah, ahora me lo voy a comprar", pero al menos que me agrade un poquito más, porque es que ya digo que de toda la vida mi Ogros, fuera. Pero bueno, es lo que hay, ¿vale? Y a ver qué tal. Voy leyendo porque me estáis poniendo aquí cositas, ¿vale? Decís que habéis estado por aquí un poco activos. Nunca se completa la gama de marines. Nunca, nunca. Siempre hay más. Dice Kumbal Andrés, cuando fuera de lluvia. Amos de la noche, plástico. Tú, si ya sacaron, Amos. Ah, vale, tú en energía, ¿vale? Dice, anda, Rugames, dice, hola chicos, buenas tardes. No sé por qué, pero tengo hambre. Vale. Dragón del caos, no hay más opciones, porque la otra cosa grande serían dos cabezas con gigantes, tal y cual. Bueno, ahí estaría. Eh... Andrés que dice que, claro, Andrés sí que le gustan los ogros, que su cartera va a sufrir. Y luego, como se soluciona si hablan de los dos tipos menos y además. Vale. Si hablan menos los tipos, enseñan más. Sí, pues, hombre, podría ser, pero Zack, muy buenas. Ejecutor. Dice, ¿ya están las siluetas? Vale. Vale. Ya hay siluetas. Pues voy a buscarlas. Voy a mirar por aquí. A ver, que me mire por aquí. ¿Han llegado al correo o están aquí en donde estoy aquí puesto? A ver si están aquí. Voy a darle un F5. A ver si me lo actualiza. Mientras voy mirando el correíto. A ver si me ha llegado. Si me llega, pues nada. A mí en el correo nada. Y en el nada. Vamos a meternos en la página básica. Por aquí no veo nada. No veo aquí ni una, ¿eh? Y si lo doy aquí, bueno, a ver aquí, ahí están las siluetas. Aquí las tenemos. Vale, aquí hay siluetas. Chavales, aquí tenemos siluetas. Pues hay caballeros del caos. Así que todo lo que he dicho, fuera. ¿Vale? Todo lo que he dicho, fuera. A la mierda. ¿Vale? Voy a ponerlo un poquito más, a ver que entre. ¿Vale? Voy a hacerlo así. Ahí. Vale, vamos a ver. Lo del centro es ogro. Eso sin duda. Lo de la izquierda es un caballero del caos. No hay duda, yo creo. Lo de la derecha son exoditas. Yo diría que son exoditas. Porque tiene pinta de Eldar montado en dinosaurio. A ver qué me decís por aquí. Me decís, ya hay siluetas. Rubén dice exoditas, sí. Dice en la portada del directo, se ven caos, ogros, kumbas. Sí, sí, en el community. Hay algo en Dino, eso es exodita, es que tiene que ser exodita. El de la derecha es un exodita. Yo opto porque es exodita. Jorge, muy buenas. Jorge Daniel. Así que yo creo que sí. Esto tiene pinta de exoditas, que pues que se irían para Kill Team. Pero un bicho montado en Kill Team, poco raro, ¿no? Pero es que el casco que hay, a mí me parece muy de Eldar, ¿sabes? Con los pinchos esos así, tal y cual, a mí me parece muy de Eldar. El ogro lo veo muy normalizado, pero si es una silueta, Andrés, por favor. Ah, no, es Kumbal. Lo siento, Kumbal. Si eras Andrés, sí te atacaba así, pero si eres tú, no. Entonces, pues que sí. Dice, lo veo muy normalizado la estética actual. Vale, sí, la garra que dice Andrés, es cierto, sí, ¿no? Había una garrita por ahí, así que ya está. Vale. Farifa, buenas. Así que ahí está, ahí está, ¿vale? Voy mirando a ver qué me ponéis aquí, que supongo que habéis puesto la silueta, ¿no? Sí, por ahí habéis puesto la siluetilla, ¿vale? Así que bien. Bueno, pues yo creo que más o menos ahí tenemos All War, que sí que va a haber dragón y más cosas, así que me tengo que comer mis palabritas. Luego tenemos ogros, eso yo creo que no se lo sorprende a nadie, no va a haber sorpresa. Y por último tenemos el tema del exodita, que yo lo puse en la porroporra, ¿vale? Yo lo puse en la porroporra, a ver que lo vea. Alguien más lo puso, yo sé que alguien más lo puso. Creo, los exoditas en Kill Team. Voy a mirarlo, ¿eh? Porque tenemos ahí la porroporra que la hemos hecho en el ahí a malas. Y yo puse exoditas y Tiburcio también puso exoditas, ¿vale? Tiburcio también puso exoditas. Eso parece un elfo oscuro, sí. Un elfo oscuro de tira para 40k y en vez de elfo oscuro llámalo elfo silvano de 40k, ¿vale? Bueno, en mi interpretación siempre ha sido que los exoditas eran los elfos silvanos de 40k, ¿vale? Es ¿vale? Mi cambio siempre ha sido ese. Que los exoditas han sido eso, en mi cabecita. Vale, voy a hacer una cosita por aquí porque esto ya estará, supongo. Voy a cambiar por aquí, voy a ponerme acá. Vale, esto ya está por aquí. Ya vais a escuchar un poquito la musicola. Y lo voy a poner acá. A ver, se ve bien. ¿Vale? Se ve bien. Decidme si la musicola por ahora está alto. Pero ahí estaría. ¿Vale? Elfo nómada, sí, bueno. Y los elfos silvanos iban a su bola también, ¿vale? Y los elfos silvanos también iban a su bola. Yo es que creo que para mí siempre era eso, ¿sabes? Eh, visita de familia porque tienes una noticia mañana. Ah, vale, sí. Preview de ogros y sexoditas. Vale, bien. Eh, todo elfo bueno es el elfo muerto. Ya lo sabemos, cumpa. Y dice Andrés, sí, los exoditas equivalen a los silvanos. Siguen, viven a su bola sin seguir la cena. Ahí está. Y son para Kill Team. En los rumores apuntan que sí, Rugames. En los rumores dicen que sí, que son para Kill Team. Y los otros, las otras dos bandas son Legión de los Condenados o orkos, mejor dicho. Orkos. ¿Vale? Eso es lo que dicen. Hombre, sí, pero eso le va a pasar, como dice Ejecutor, yo no creo que sea primero KT y luego si venden bien 40K, no. Primero va a ser KT y luego 40K. Lo que les van a hacer va a ser una aproximación como los piratas, como los corsarios, ¿vale? Que les han sacado sus cositas, unas cuantas unidades, unas poquitas unidades. Tienen al Príncipe Iriel, tienen tal y cual, tienen la banda antigua de Kill Team, pero todo con mucho tiempo. Yo creo que se lo harán así. Yo creo que no es que en la próxima edición va nada más empezar vayan a salir exoditas. No, yo creo que pues con su tiempo, con su calma, igual que hicieron con los corsarios, Eldar pues lo cambiarán así. Si sacan una caja batallón de Guerreros del Caos de Tau, ahora veo difícil que saquen Guerreros del Caos en caja de inicio de segunda edición de Tau. Eso desde luego. Eso desde luego. Es que a mí me parece, hombre, que puede ser, ¿eh? Pero quizá intenten seguir otra vez el formato que hicieron. Bueno, es que el formato que hicieron fue tan raro para esta primera edición de Tau que no creo que se repita, pero bueno. A ver, sería raro que nos enseñen cosas más allá de lo nuevo en marines y orcos. No, es que van a enseñar, es que según el vídeo, solo van a enseñar, y según el artículo, solo van a enseñar como digo, el primer ejército. Es que no van a enseñar más. Y reza porque enseñen la portada del códex y fuera. Bueno, enseñarán el primer ejército, quizá un poquito de alguna miniatura, algún teaser, algunas cosillas, pero te van a decir, este va a ser el primer ejército, fuera. Mi bam. Y a llorar, ¿sabes? Y dice que segunda va a ir con caja versus. Pues bueno, pues sí. Es que, desde luego, lo que hicieron en primera edición es muy raro. Así que bueno, pues sí, puede ser que lo hagan. ¿Puede salir un Codex Corsarios, Exoditas y Arbequines? Pues no lo creo. No, no lo sé. Puede ser, puede ser. Pero yo los veo más siempre como un Codex suplemento. ¿Puede salir un Codex suplemento con eso? Podría ser. Sí, puede ser perfectamente, porque si sobre todo si es que no, es que yo creo que puede que no sean slaves la facción de quinta edición, sino que sea una nueva facción caótica. No tiene por qué ser slaves. De hecho, dentro de lo que decían las 1000 personalidades de Bull, es que no iban a ser como slaves, no eran slaves, iban con cosas raras. Entonces, quizás sea un nuevo ejército para caos. ¿Que sería raro un nuevo ejército absoluto de caos que no sea slaves? Sí, sería raro. Pero yo tampoco quiero que slaves le pase como que ya lo tiene, que ya lo tiene. Que le pase como a Stormcast, que tenga 8000, 51000 Wascrolls, ¿sabes? Tenga 1 millón de Wascrolls para que luego se utilicen 3, ¿sabes? ¿Un Velacor ya completamente independizado? Pues podría ser. De hecho, lo vería mejor eso. Giro loco, es un hombranés en vez de Nexodita y sí, 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 puede ser, hombre. Pero no lo creo, ¿eh? No, yo lo dudo. Lo dudo. Eso sí, giro loco, ¿sabes? Sería un cambio, un plot twist brutal, ¿sabes? Sí, si seguimos, sí, podría ser, pero a saber, a saber. Las porras de fin de edición que tengo que subirlas, tengo que normalizarlas, normalizarlas, porque algunas que me habéis enviado telita marinera, tengo que normalizarlas y subirlas. A ver si este fin de semana, en un ratito, me pongo con ello, ¿vale? Y con las de azote. Las de azote primero, ¿vale? Sí, es bastante parecido. De hecho, es muy, muy, muy estático, ¿vale? Si nos ponemos en la otra imagen, a ver dónde estaba. Vale, que tendría que abrir esto, irme aquí y a ver. Se puede ver que es muy estático el Caballero del Caos. Súper estático. Eso sí, si lo que dicen de Quinta va a tener más pinchos, fijaos la cantidad de pinchos que hay por aquí, ¿eh? Yo ahí veo muchos pinchos, ¿vale? Así que imaginad, vuelvo otra vez al vídeo, que le queda esto 3 minutitos. Dicen, no son de todo, hoy anuncian AOS quinta edición un año antes, ¿vale? Un año antes, para que prepare el culo mucha gente, ¿no? El caballero me recuerda a personaje antiguo, sí. Mucho pincho, poca calavera. Bueno, las calaveras no se han visto. ¿Se sabe si saldrán nuevos Warcors alternativos? Sí, hay un azote de Axi, ¿vale? Llama Umi. Hay un azote de Axi, se sabe porque además cuando hace un par de semanas salieron los puntos de Slanes, ya enseñaban los dos primeros. No, no los Warcors, pero sí que ponían Scorcho, azote de Axi. Y uno eran los Infernal Raptures, creo, si no me equivoco, y los otros no me acuerdo cuáles eran, ¿vale? El de los dos Warcors que va a tener, ¿vale? Así que tened eso en cuenta. Y de hecho, a mí me han dicho los de Bloomspite, por privado, pero no los puedo decir. Me han dicho por ahí ciertos Warcors, pero no los puedo decir. Así que, calla. Bien, no sé si serán ciertos, obviamente. Si no llevas pinchos no eres del caos, eso está claro. Bueno, no eres de Warhammer, Andrés. Si no llevas pinchos no eres de Warhammer. Podrían aprovechar y cambiar la estética de Naos y así se queda uno, elija la gama, prefiera comprarse y utilizarlo donde quiera. Hombre, es que eso ya más o menos estaba. Yo creo que eso ya más o menos estaba. Por cierto, euros en la frente, volvemos a ser cabeza de preview. Ojalá no. Ojalá no, porque a mí eso me da luego bajona. Sobre todo cuando no gestionan, que esto es un problema, ¿no? Que sabemos que tiene Game Workshop. Es un problema que tiene Game Workshop con los vídeos estos, que no gestiona bien la montaña rusa que tiene que ser, ¿sabes? Que todo el mundo sabe que tienes que empezar fuerte, acabar, bueno, ir luego dando tumbitos así, que estén bien, en medio una pequeña subidita y la última un subidón. Y yo aquí creo que para mi gusto los dos subidones son Hecho Sigmar y Allward, por lo que nos han dicho. Hecho Sigmar y Allward. Porque si de 40K nos dicen un primer vistacillo, que prácticamente debe ser que eso nos van a enseñar la portada del códex y poco más, y la escenografía 40K, eso no es para acabar un- una preview, a mi juicio, ¿vale? Para empezarla, bueno, pero deberías de empezar yo creo que de esa manera. Pero yo los pondría a mitad, a menos que vengan con Legión de los Condenados y todo eso mole mogollón. Porque si es Legión de los Condenados más sexoditas y todos molan, cuidado, ahí la cosa puede cambiar muchísimo. Así que los podría poner para principio de vídeo. Bueno, estar tensión. Ya sabéis que esto luego se lo toman con calma, que no empiezan a las 8 clavados muchas veces, que, pues mira, sea justo. Aquí les tengo. Hoy hablo y ya está. Si queréis que suba un poco el audio. Bueno, 1 hora y media, como dice ahora Ejecutor, que va un poquito por delante. Yo sí que lo veo, vosotros lo llegaréis un poquito más tarde, pero sí. Ya sabéis que yo tengo que recibir el vídeo, luego lo subo y luego os llega a vosotros. Por eso os va a llegar con un poquito de delay con respecto a lo que hay. ¿Vale? Porque pasa eso siempre que hay una retransmisión y hay una reacción. Yo tengo que recibir el vídeo, luego tengo que subirlo y vosotros recibirlo. Entonces ahí hay un delay, ¿vale? ¿No hay audio? ¡Ay, no hay audio! Cierto. Claro que no lo pongo el audio escritorio.
Looking at the chat as people
Ahí está.
answered the.
I enjoyed the quiz.
Ahora
was
deberíais
fun,
de
right?
tenerlo.
Did you get any right? Any
I
wrong?
got all
está
of them
muy
right,
alto, me lo
obviously,
decís.
Adam,
Very
but
good.
I did also help write the question, so I did have cheated a bit.
Perfect. I was doing all
Ya,
right
ya,
myself.
Andrés, no te
And,
preocupes.
I saw
Es
where
lo que
some people
digo.
from. We got people
Me
from
viene, me va.
Texas. There's people from
Y hasta que
all
os
around
llega,
the UK.
pues,
Lot from
tarda
Europe
un
as well. I
poquito.
saw some France and some Germany. So wherever you are in this global Warhammer community, welcome to this preview. We're delighted that you would choose to spend some time with us.
Yep, absolutely. Are you doing any hobby recently, Adam?
I have. I've found doing hobby a bit hard. I've been very busy, and also the weather is
been a
complete
bit warm, hasn't
anathema
it?
to painting
Yeah.
right now here in the UK. We are getting burninated.
Hay una
But
camiseta de
I have
los
put
Ángeles
together
Oscuros,
everything
Dark Angels,
that was on
Adam,
the
y
space
el
for
otro
side of
lleva
my
una
Armageddon
de
box,
hecho
Nice.
Sigmar, ¿no?
including
Por lo que
sort of
parece.
dark angeling, is that a word?
Verme la camiseta
The
hecha
models
Sigmar.
with some extra details
Que
and
muy
backgrounds and
veraniega.
things like that. What about you?
Bit of Eldari, taking some of them. Doing a little bit of Caradrons on my painting table at the moment. And
Bueno, ahora están
Did
hablando
you
de lo que
finish
han
your
estado
cocktail?
I did
pintando
finish my
y
cocktail.
mierda.
Yes, I had a good time with that. I did
Excellent.
loads
It
of
was on
hobbies.
Warcom, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Nice. So, meanwhile, the other thing I've been doing to fill a little bit of my hobby time
Se ve un
is I've
poquito
been
raro,
sort of
y me da un
theory
poquito así
hammering some
raro cuando lo
army
veo,
lists using
cuando se
Warhammer
mueven,
40,000
Yes,
pero bueno,
stuff.
eso supongo que
And
será
I've
de
been looking
pillar y
at, I saw
recibir.
somebody had made a really interesting little video on like Instagram or somewhere
Si
about
quieres
how
una
you
hora
could
y
use the
media, si
folders
es una hora y media,
attachment, which is
Ejecutor,
like hand speed
van a tener
eccentric.
charleta.
And so I'm trying to work out how I can synergize that with all of my Ravenwing things to make like a very fast moving sort of attacking and deep striking in force. That could be really
Yeah, a
fun.
lot of people doing Warhammer 40,000 army list theorying.
Yeah, I've been
aren't
caught
they?
up in the wave, I think. What about you?
Yeah, obviously. I've got one list for every single faction in 40k. That
And
I'm
you've played your first official game of
I
the new
played
edition.
one game, one official game of the new edition so far with my
Vale,
Eldar
que han
against some
jugado la
You got
nueva
undefeated at the
edición,
time.
bla, bla,
So
bla.
far, undefeated.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Right. So, as we said, we've got loads of things to
A
talk
ver.
about throughout the course of this
Sí,
preview.
sí.
Thank you
Entonces
so
así
much for
cuando se
joining us.
mueven es cosa de ellos.
We
Ah,
hope
vale.
you have a nice time. We are going to
Vale, vale,
start
digo, a
off
ver
the
si es que
show
era cosa
by
mía.
going to the grim darkness of the far future, and we're going to talk about some things for Warhammer 40,000. So here we are with Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon, the launch box for the new edition, sort of
Van
out
a
there in the
meterle
wild.
charlita
It's worth
variada,
talking
¿eh?
about some of the things that are coming up, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is how new people to Warhammer might get started in the Warhammer 40,000 hobby with some Warhammer 40,000 starter sets. So here is
Ah, mira,
the
los
Warhammer
starters, ¿los
40,000
habías puesto
starter
tú,
set.
Ejecutor?
We've got one in the flesh.
Ojo, ¿los habías
This
puesto
is
tú?
an enormous box. And
Porque
is
yo creo que
the
los habías
perfect
puesto tú.
way
Voy
if
a
you've never
revisarlo,
played
¿eh?
Warhammer 40,000 before and want to get started to jump
40K.
straight into the hobby. Eddie, what can you tell us about
Yeah,
it?
so we did
Cajas
know
de
some of the
lanzamiento
miniatures
pequeñas.
from the Warhammer
Ojo,
40,000 Armageddon
ojo,
set would be
Ejecutor.
available in other sets in the future. This is one of the first places you'll be able to get hold of them. So in this, you effectively have
Bueno,
a
ya
combat
sabéis, el
patrol of
despiece de las
Space Marines
cajas
painted as
de la
Ultramarines,
caja de
you can paint them any colour you
Armageddon,
want.
pues en
You've
diferentes
also got a
cajitas,
combat
¿vale?
patrol of Orcs.
Cuando
You've
se
also
enseñan
got
estas,
a
no sé si tendrán
battlefield of
las
stuff to
otras,
play
pero bueno,
across,
ahí está.
and effectively a combat patrol's worth of battlefield terrain for combat patrol. So like
Vale, la
This is essentially
escenografía,
everything you need to
esa
get
prepintada,
started with your first
sí,
games of
¿no?
Warhammer 40,000 all
Es
in
la
one box.
prepintada
All
que
the
ya
models are push
enseñaron.
fit, the terrain
No sé si vendrá.
together. It's got the game board and all of the pieces.
Yo no lo puse porque creía que los enseñarían un lunes o una cosa así. Dirían, oye, pues mira.
it's also got all the rules and stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got your core rules and then the
No digas, la
the
escena
guide
está
for using the
chula,
models that are in the box.
Ejecutor,
So this is the first of
porque
the
te
starter products that we're going to
buscas
talk
bronca
about
con
right now,
Andrés.
but there's more to come. So what if you wanted to get started in Warhammer 40,000, you don't want
Sí,
the
eso
two-player
parece.
launch set, and you just want
Bueno,
maybe
otro
a
starter
starter
para
set which
un...
focuses on one
Ay,
of the
mira,
factions. Well, this
este
is
starter
getting
marines, que
started
es un
with
Combat
Space Marines,
Patrol
and
menor,
is
¿no?
the
Por lo que
same
parece.
Combat Patrol that you saw in the
Ah,
previous
no,
box.
ha dicho
And it
tamaño
comes
Combat Patrol,
complete
creo.
with the paints that you need
Básicamente,
to do
sí,
your
es...
first paint jobs on these models. I think it's 11 paints in the set, so you can get started right away with the Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, and this is perfect if you've already got a gaming group, they've already got their box sets, they've split them all up, and you've got an odd number of players, and what if you want Space Marines, you can grab yourself this set and start playing straight away. This is your self-contained little starter set for Space Marines.
It will perhaps surprise nobody to know there is an Orc equivalent.
obviamente
Yes,
una
this is almost exactly the same, but green.
There you go.
So you have the Combat Patrol for Orcs, then you've got a bunch of variously Orky paints. So this is a great little set if you want to
está
kick
chula,
off
pero
an Orc
siempre
army.
sin pinta.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to note here, you've already said it, but if you're just looking to sort of join in with an existing group, or maybe just start one of these armies for the first time and you're already
Yo
in
que eso lo había leído,
40,000, this
está
really
chula.
is a great
Yo
way
pues,
to do it
muy
because
bien.
you get the paints you would need to kickstart that painting process too.
Or if you just have an Orc army and you just want loads more
Just
boys,
want a bunch of
just want
reinforcements.
loads more Orcs.
Yeah, no kidding. There's another way to get started as well, which is this introductory set. And I
Luego
find this
la
one to be
caja de
quite exciting.
introducción
You've
esta
got
que
some
te
Space
viene
Marines and some
solo
Orcs
una
and some
unidad de
paints,
cada
and you can have a
uno y
gaming
un héroe.
experience, but it's really sort of a first steps into the Warhammer 40,000 gaming and hobby experience.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. And the thing that's cool about this to point out is that while the other sets, the miniatures, are the same ones from the
¿Qué precio
Warhammer
tendrá el
40,000
primer
Armageddon
starter?
set,
Esos
these
starters
ones are
solían
brand
tener,
new miniatures. So
no
you've
lo
got
sé ahora
5
mismo,
intercessors in there. You've got a
pero
Space
no
Marine
eran
lieutenant. It's been like a whole week
precisamente
since we've had new Space
baratetes,
Marine lieutenants.
Couldn't have come
Had
soon
to have
enough.
one.
100 pavos
And then
creo
you've got a new unit of
que
Orc
llegaba
Boys.
a tener
They
en
are
los
Orc
antiguos.
Boys are the same kind of unit as the ones you get in Armageddon, but they've got different poses. And critically,
Los
you've
antiguos
also got some
eran
heavy and
ya de
special
100
weapons
pavos,
You've
in
got
the
a
Orc
big
squad.
shooter and a rocket
Mínimo.
launcher inside that
Absolutely.
set.
So if you want to add in some extra shooting into
Así
your
que
big Orc
este,
mobs, you can, and
con la escena
all the
prepintada,
characters have
imaginaos.
new poses as
Puede
well.
ser
So it's quite a
eso
cool little set.
I get
una
really
fiesta.
excited about all the different poses of intercessors, particularly these sort of push fit ones, because I find them easy to build. And so I'm hoping somebody will split that set with me, Eddie. Just hinting. There you go. We're on. Right. There's also some paint sets. This is the paints and tool set. This
Bueno,
would
eso de
synergize
pintura, todo
perfectly
lo
with
que
that
viene
Warhammer 40,000
con la
starter
nueva
set. We get the
edición
combat patrols.
siempre
It's got 13 paints, clippers, mold line
no
removal
hay
tool, and a
ningún tipo
brush.
de
Everything you
sorpresa,
need to
yo
get
creo.
started with your painting journey. If you've never painted Warhammer models before, this would be a decent pickup.
Yeah, this is a lovely little set. I started with a set a lot like this when I started playing Warhammer. You can paint almost anything with this box because you've
Mira,
got
estará ya
all your
cerca de
primary
los
colours and
200,
then
es que sí,
black
creo
and
que
white
sí,
and
es
your
que es eso.
metallics and some really useful little tools. So this is just a really solid base for
Pero
a paint.
vamos,
Yeah,
si me voy
absolutely. If
ahora
you want one a little
mismo
more themed towards a particular army, you can start with this, which is very much like the set
a
I
la
started
de
painting with
Sigmar.
Warhammer, which was an Orcs paint set back in the day. This is boys and paints. So you've got 6 paints and a brush and a couple of Orc boys and a grot. Again, just dip your toe into the painting experience and see how you get along. There's a Space Marine equivalent, which is
Vale, hay uno
intercessors
de
and paints.
orcos,
Again,
otro de
6
tal.
paints, a brush, and 2 Space Marine intercessors. Whew, deep breath. That was a lot of ways to start your Warhammer 40,000 experience, and I think it'd be a good time to like introduce your friends or a family member or relative or whatever that you want to like.
It's a really good time to start
máscara, de
playing
hecho,
Warhammer
Sigmar, a ver
40,000 because
cuando
it's a
me
brand
lo
new
hago de
edition.
esto,
Everyone's
mientras
kind of in the
estoy
same place.
mirando.
Everyone's learning the rules together. This is the perfect time to hop in.
Nice.
Se
I
ha
love
quedado
it.
esto pillado aquí.
So it follows on quite nicely.
Se había
Because
quedado
we're
pillado
going
la
to talk
imagen.
about some terrain now. So we've got some really interesting terrain kits to
Como
point
está
out and
cargando
talk
lo
about.
otro.
The first is Combat Patrol
Bueno,
Battle
lo puedo
Zone.
mirar con el
So this
móvil.
is all of the terrain
Me
you
va
see
bien.
here in a box, along with the game boards
Mira, el
and
de
the
la
tiles to
escenografía.
the terrain prints to put the terrain on. This is everything you need in one box to play a complete game of Combat Patrol.
Yeah, and if you've already
Es lo
bought
que
the
se
starter
necesita para
set,
jugar un
if you
Combat
add
Patrol.
this
Así
box
que yo
onto
creo
the
que
starter
eso se
set, you
duplica
effectively
de
have a
tamaño
full
y jugarás
boards
una
worth of
partida
terrain
normal.
for something like an incursion or 2,000 point game
Vale.
of Warhammer 40,000, or in a self-contained set, it is the exact right
Yo
amount
con la
of stuff to play.
escena con los nuevos
Yeah, and worth
objetivos
pointing
esos
out
de
this,
cartón.
with this one, this like
Sí.
the models in the starter set are unpainted. So
Esos
all of
también
these
te lo
terrain
venden por
pieces,
separados,
they
¿no?
come on the
Lo
grey
vimos
plastic
hace
you're
una
familiar with.
semana, yo creo.
Easy to put together, and then you can paint them in the color scheme that suits your board at home or your armies or whatever you would like.
Yeah, this set, Combat Patrol set, comes in around the same price as a Combat Patrol itself.
O ya a la venta.
Right.
O...
If you want to add more things to it, or you just want to focus on building a terrain board that suits your own preferences, we've got a
Vale.
few little
Ahora
terrain sets to
mismo,
talk about. This is the
me lo
manufactured
ponen
on
libras
ruins, which are
esto.
those sort of classic
Bueno.
building shapes that you often see on battlefields. There's some of these in that Combat Patrol
Ahora
set
mismo,
that we
un
just showed you
starter
before.
set
There's more. There's also the galvanic network. This represents these power lines and things that
The
run across
Age of
the
Sigmar.
sort of ash wastes of Armageddon, and is a wonderful way to bring some character to your
Más
battlefield.
cajitas
And then
de
you've
la
got the capacity
escenografía.
cluster here,
Esta también es la
which looks like it's
prepintada, ¿no?
writhing with electricity, and you've got like a
Sí,
really
porque
unfortunate
eso
servitor
ya me
trapped
acuerdo,
in the
sí.
console at the front.
Yeah, life's pretty tough for servitors in Warhammer 40,000.
Ahora mismo son 175. El starter set 8 de hecho Sigmar, así que esta va a ser 200 pavos,
and it's all
como ha
coming
dicho
fairly
Ejecutor.
soon down the pipe.
That's
There's
absolutely true.
something else we need to explain
Yo
to
creo que esa
people
también era
that you've
prepintada.
already talked about a little bit with Aiden on a video before, right?
That's absolutely right. Currently, all the terrain in my collection is Eddie painted. Very
Perfect.
soon, I'll be able to also
A ver, ¿qué van a enseñar
ready
ahora?
painted
Ah, la
terrain.
paja.
This is the new ready painted
Ah,
Battlefield
mira, este sí.
Armageddon
A ver,
box.
este sí que es el
And this is
prepintado.
everything you need for a full incursion-sized game of Warhammer 40,000 in one
Una
box.
caja
And all of the
perfecta,
terrain
directa
in
para
this
jugar
comes
2000
ready
puntos.
painted and
Bueno,
ready to go.
incursiones son
The
2000,
box
¿no? Yo
is
creo.
enormous. It is jam-packed with absolutely loads of fantastic
Anteriores-
terrain. And
las
we've got one
anteriores
here
sí
to
eran
open.
sin.
So what we thought we'd do is
Y
actually
eran
just
las
crack
mismas,
one
yo
open
creo, ¿no?
and build one of the terrain pieces in it,
O-
nice
o
and
muy
quickly to show
parecidas.
you what it's like.
While Adam tells you about it, I'm going to build one of the terrain pieces in here
Great.
to show you how quickly we
Get
can make
clipping, right. So
Dice
what we've
que
got is
va a
some nice
montar
pictures to
una
show you what
en
Eddie gets feverishly to work.
directísimo
So here you
de la
can see
prepintada.
what you're dealing with. Essentially, it is a full battlefield's worth of
A mí me
already
gustaría
painted
que hagan
terrain.
zumba
Try
las
and talk
líneas
over
de
the
molde.
rummaging and crashing of Eddie.
Sorry.
Es lo único que me
The
interesa.
set comes with the game boards
Que
that
me
you
hagan
need,
zumba
has
las
the
líneas de molde.
terrain markers so you know where to put your terrain pieces onto. And obviously the terrain is painted to ready painted to a brilliant standard. So if you are looking to just clip the things out from the
Sí,
frames,
sí, pero
put it together
enséñame cómo
quickly
lo hace
and
y
start playing
que
again
me
with
hagan
Warhammer
zoom
40,000 on a battlefield
a lo
that
otro,
looks
porque
really
yo quiero
good.
ver
This is a
ahí
wonderful way to do it. It's going to
líneas
be
de
enormously
molde.
popular with people
Aquí no
who,
las estoy
you
viendo
know, like
bien.
me at home. I've already got my own
No se ven.
terrain board, but if I wanted to host a game night and I wanted maybe like 3 friends to
Pero
play
son
with
de
so we could,
montaje único.
play
Joder,
round robin
Andrés, no
style
puedes
games,
tenerlo
this would
todo,
enable me
tío.
to do it nice and quickly. You can imagine gaming clubs and
Mira cómo
tournaments,
está
and all of those people
ahí
who have a need for a nice looking
cortando, Eddie.
battlefield quickly are going to find this to be really exciting.
Ahí, ahí, más rápido, más rápido.
Oh,
Y
there
si
you go. I'll show
causas
you what it looks like.
alguna...
Here you go. If we get a zoom in on this.
Ya he quitado
So this
una.
is a piece
Eso es,
directly
espera,
off of the
zoom.
frame that Eddie has just
Ahora,
worked on.
gíramela
And you
un
can see
poco.
the level of
Quiero ver,
detail. You've got the
quiero ver las
fantastic
líneas
glow
del
effects
molde.
around the sort of the lumens and the
A
candles
ver,
and so
oye,
on.
oye.
Inside, you can see the interior detail. Some within the sort of the walls, you can see this sort of chipped and very
Ahí había
nicely
líneas de
done sort
molde.
of corrosion dripping down the walls.
Pero ahí no se ven
Really
tanto
is
las
a
líneas de
very
molde en esa.
impressive piece of terrain.
Almost there.
Como la
Almost there.
imagen es un poquito
So now we've
caca.
got 2. Now I always try and put these together too early, so I don't want to ruin doing it. So
Me dice que
essentially, it
dedicaba a
just push
quitar
fits.
todas
One of
las
the
líneas
things
de
that we've
molde.
discovered, the guys who run our global events are really excited about this
Mira,
because
acá
it's going to
el
enable them to
otro
put
Adam
together
está montándola un
large
poquito,
battlefields
el
very quickly, and you
otro
can
corta y el
also
otro monta.
unclip these things when you're ready to and put it back into a relatively
So I think-
small space.
Yeah, the
There
whole
you go.
thing, actually, if you leave the kind of floors off, then the whole thing... Oh, I need to clip out those a bit.
Ahora lo rompe. Estaría guapísimo.
We need to do a bit more clipping.
Bit more
There you
clipping,
go.
anyway.
Ah, mira, que es que no, claro, no,
If you
no,
take the
no,
floors out,
no,
the
no
whole
la ha
thing
quitado
packs back
bien
into
ahí
the box.
eso,
There you
¿sabes?
go.
Pretty much. So that's pretty easy.
Which is
Estaría
nice if you're
guapísimo que ahora
looking
lo
for somewhere to
rompan.
store your models.
O el clásico, que
I
van
think almost there,
con
almost there.
pines, ¿no?
So one
Para
of the things I think is
que
quite
se
nice about this
encajen
is
con
I
agujeritos
speed
y,
painted my
y
entire
el tío los
battlefield,
haya
and it took
cortado.
me
Eso estaría
all of a
súper
Saturday
bien.
to build and then all of a Sunday to speed paint, and it's still not of the same quality as the completion on this. And so you've done the first
Ta-da!
building in what the amount of time it's taken us to talk about this. There we go,
Ta-da, ahí lo
moving it
tienen.
around. And it really does look
Voy
wonderful.
a
You
ver
can
si
see
me
the
puedo poner la
bulkhead
calidad
door and
mejor,
everything
porque
inside
creo
it.
que esto lo tengo
I could be more
automático
excited.
a
Yeah, I think I'm pretty
30
pleased with this. I'm
y
quite
veces.
pleased with the effect I've got on some of the glow there as well. I think the dry brushing
Are you
I've achieved
taking
on this.
credit for all this work?
Yeah, I just made this. Sure, saw it.
Hombre, ¿qué queréis que os diga?
Nice. So
Dependiendo del
this is on its
precio.
way later in the year.
Si
It'll
este
come
precio
behind
está
all of the
bien,
other starter products
esto a
we
las
just talked
tiendas
about.
les salva
And
un
so you're
montón.
looking more towards the
Que yo
autumn
sé que a
time.
Andrés le encanta la
Right.
escenografía
Yeah,
para
and in
su
terms
casa y tal y
of
cual.
price, this one
Perfecto,
comes in. It has
maravilloso.
twice as much
Pero
terrain
cuando tienes
as
una
the
tienda
Combat
y tienes que
Patrol
montar
Battlefield,
no
and
sé
it comes
cuántas
in at a
mesas,
little bit more
pues
than the cost of
esto
2 Combat
salva
There you go.
muchísimo
So,
el
yeah,
culo.
really exciting.
Eso sí, dependiendo
Okay,
de
so
los precios.
we've talked about all of the starter sets, we've talked about all of the terrain, the ready paint terrain, very exciting. I guess we should talk a little bit about the things that are coming along with the first codex of
Yeah,
11th
we should
edition.
probably do that.
So it's time to look at some orcs.
A ver, mira, un poquito adelanto de orcos, no han sido marinos, me cago en la leche. Más carros, más carros. Ese mola, esa construcción mola. La otra no tanto, pero esa me mola mucho.
Grabbing tools, grabby bits, shooters, rockets, you name it. Remember,
Bien. Que está ahí como un puro con un tornillo.
go fast or go home.
Me gusta la que simula ahí, esta de aquí. Esta mola mucho. Y luego tienen otra mini
That
ahí,
was
¿no?
fun. It's a good time to be an orc this year, isn't it?
It is. They are getting absolutely spoiled.
Bueno, no está
We
mal.
can confirm today the first codex is orcs,
Pues el
and
primer
alongside
codex
the
va a ser
codex, there are a
orquetes.
whole bunch of new miniatures. One of the most exciting miniatures on its way is that new truck and that new mech, which are on their
Should we
way.
talk about the
El
mech
camión
first?
Let's do the
mola,
mechs
¿vale?
first. So,
El camión, pero
orc
sobre
mechs,
todo el que
those of you who
a
know
mí me
orcs will
mola el
know,
que tiene
these
pues
are the
las placas
mechanics
de
that basically
blindaje y
put
tal.
together all of the weird and wonderful creations that
Ese
go
sí
into
que
battle
mola.
alongside your orcs. They are surprisingly good at
Odd
science.
boys with the
Yeah.
innate knowledge to just make awesome things out of scrap.
Gene-coded, innate, kind of inherited knowledge in terms of how to make things like teleporters and trucks and guns and
Y este
wish
es
I
el
had those
héroe que
skills.
Well, I mean,
también
you know,
enseña
you
la
fly yourself, I'm
gráfica
sure you
con
can
el
do it.
héroe.
But yeah,
Así que
this
no,
is a really
no,
cool
bueno,
miniature.
está bien, está
It
guay ahí
has
con
a kind
la,
of really thematic. He's got
con
a
el
kind of
ganchito, con la
spanner
pequeña
clobber
grúa
thing
esa en
there.
la
He's got a
espalda,
slugger.
pues está cachondo.
But the thing that he really does is kind
Yo
of
no soy
bring with
muy
him
fan de los
all of
orcos
the
de
awesome
40k, pero bueno,
machines
está
that
bien.
make Orc Army so fun to play in
Yeah.
Warhammer 40,000.
So with no further ado, let's talk about the truck then, which is maybe the star of that show.
Y los camenacos,
This
pues
is the
este es el que más
new
mola.
orc truck. It's
No
an
voy a engañar.
evolution
Este es
of
el
the
que más
classic
mola.
orc
El
truck that you know and
otro,
love.
bueno.
A little bit bigger, a few more options, and is really just wonderful to look at. It comes with a variety of options in terms of weapon mounts. You've got the big shooter, you've got the rocket launcher, you have options for a grabber claw and a buzzsaw, and all of those
Pero
can be
mola,
swapped in
está bien.
positions on the top so that you can
Y
build
los
different
cierres igual
configurations
que
to
un
have some
rumor
great
engine más
variety as
antiguo,
you're
puede
making your
ser.
trucks.
Yeah, this is a phenomenally cool
No lo
miniature.
sé,
Like,
ahora
the
mismo
current
no
truck
voy a,
is really cool,
no voy
right?
al
So the
tanto
truck
de
that
los
is in
rumores
current
engine,
orc
tengo
armies
que actualizarme.
is a perfectly good vehicle, but it's been with us for a
Pero
long time,
podría
right?
ser
Like it's
perfectamente,
been
sí,
what,
creo que me
15
suena algún
something
rumor
like that.
engine
Yeah,
una
it's been around for a
así
while.
que
This is a beautiful reinvention of it. The thing that really makes this is the fact that you can build it in so many different ways. Where the
bueno,
pintle
que
mount
lo puedes
goes,
montar de
where the
un
close
millón
combat
de
weapon
maneras
goes,
diferentes,
how the boys are
así que
positioned,
guay.
what the driver looks like,
Even
what
here
goes
on
on
the
the
screen, you can see the way it looks like it's going around the corner because you can alter the look of the suspension.
yeah, you can kind of play with where the wheels are, and I think especially if
Que
you've gone
puedes
for a really heavy
poner
sort
las
of evil
ruedas en
sons
diferentes
or speed freak
posiciones
style
para
army,
que dé
and you want to have
Aunque realmente solo tiene... ¡Epa! Se me ha puesto a cargar. Cago en todo.
a bit of variety
Ahí
in your
está.
force. This
Que puedes
one
ponerle
kit
las
with,
ruedas
very,
un
with
poquito así
no changes
diferentes,
at
¿no?
all
Tal y cual,
from
para
what comes in the
que
box can
tengan
be
otras
built
posiciones, así
enough
un
times
poquito
that you would never need to
más cachonda,
replicate
pero
what a
bueno,
single
bien.
truck looks like.
Yeah, so we've got a couple here on the desk. The one
Hombre,
that
que
I'm
eres
most
fan de
excited by
esas
is the
cosas
one
de
with
los
this
Gretchen y esas
awesome looking
mierdas,
skull
Andrés, ya lo
prow at the
sabíamos.
front. It just looks so like
Siempre
mean and
eres fan
orky.
de
This
esos
sort of whole skull motif
minions
of the orcs is
ahí,
so iconic.
pequeñajos y tal.
Yeah, really fantastic. Now, what we wanted to do, the reason we brought these along, is so I can sandwich this little guy in
Make some
between them
space in the parking
and
lot
just
there.
show you, if you've already got some orc trucks in your collection, how nice they're going to look. Don't want to mangle the models, Adam.
Mira, y con un camión
I know,
antiguo.
right? So this is how it looks with the classic truck in between. It's a really good look.
Bueno.
I think
Yeah,
people are
if
going to be
you've
very
already
happy.
got some trucks in your army, you can absolutely keep them alongside these new
Queda,
ones.
queda
I think there's
medianamente
something to be
decente.
said for
A
an orc
nivel
army
de
with a
juego de
ramshackle look
mesa,
to it. So
da el
you
pego,
could
¿no?
replace them
Quizás
completely,
ya
or
si
if
te
you want to have a
acercas un
mix, that's
poquito más a
absolutely
los
fine.
muñecos,
But I think the new
pues
ones
bueno.
just bring, they just look great. They've got so many cool options.
Yeah, I agree.
They're going to look
Así
phenomenal.
que,
Nice. So that's a couple of
a
fantastic
nivel de
brand
estar
new kits
jugando, yo
coming
creo
for the
que da
orcs.
bastante el
There's
pego
more
con
on the
el
way
camión antiguo,
that
me
people
refiero.
might be able to learn about through the progress of the Deathmire.
Yeah, that's right. So there's lots of orc stuff still to come. Some of the stuff we're showing you today,
Obviamente
some
va a
of
venir
it
muchas
will
más
be
cosas, no
revealed
solo es esto,
potentially
lo que
if
vendrá
the orcs
con
do
los
well in
orcos.
the Siege of Deathmire campaign that's currently running. So if you want to see some more orcs, play some games, send in your results, and you might get to see some more very, very soon. There are a
Y
few
nada,
other
que
boxes to
parece
talk
ser
about today. We've got the
que,
other
como
stuff from
siempre, con
Armageddon as well.
estas
Yeah, that's
cosas
right. So essentially, if
ellos
you
mismos que
wanted
dicen
to
que
pick
si
up some of the things from
utilizas la
Armageddon or
campaña
duplicate
o
them,
que juegas la
we're
campaña
going to
y
be
subes
releasing the
resultados para
Dakar rig
que
separately, the war tank
mejore el
separately,
del
and the Weird Boy
orco, tal,
separately,
pues
and
enseñarán más
also the other
cositas.
sort of command stuff. Is that the right word for an orc?
Sure, why not?
So the banner knob, the
Bueno, las
big
cosas
boss, and
de
the
la
pen boy
caja
will be releasing a command
sueltecitas.
crew set as well. So there's a whole bunch of extra stuff to come. We should probably talk a bit about the codex itself, though,
Yes.
right? So
Y van a hablar un poquito del
obviously,
códex.
this is the first
Y ya
codex of
llevamos
11th edition, and it
20
heralds
minutos
something really
de
exciting in
40k.
terms of a format
40k, aunque
change
sean dos
for
cosas
Warhammer
las que iban a
40,000
enseñar, pues
codexes.
iban a esto.
So
Oye,
here
oye,
you
oye,
can see
¿cómo son los
it's
codex ahora?
contained in a slipcase, and we've got one live in front of you. So it's a perfect bound book, slightly smaller than the codexes in terms
Oye,
of the height, but it is really
El
thick
nuevo
and is
estilo del codex
packed
mola,
with
¿eh?
an
Tapa blanda,
incredible
sí,
amount
tapa
of
blanda, es lo
orky
malo.
content.
Es lo malo, tapa
178
blanda.
pages it is.
Perfect. And the first thing that I would like to just eulogize on is how incredible the lore section for this is.
Si
We
no
are talking
suben
a
el
really
precio
thick lore section, which is
y
everything
lo
you
bajan,
would want
que
to
eso ya quizás va a ser
about the
imposible,
orcs and
pues
how they
estaría
operate.
guay.
It's
Pero
got
sí,
a
es
gatefold
cierto
map you
que
can see here,
perder
which is
tapa
the
blanda
orky
por
perspective on the galaxy, all the
ese
places that the
formato de
orcs are fighting, all the
cajita
different wars that are
es
taking
un poco
place.
cutre.
But there's a lot more to it than that.
A
It
mí me
talks
pareció.
about the orcs, where they come from, how they fight, their culture.
Pero bueno,
the
que yo
different clan
recuerdo
structures.
que si cojo
Literally the
ciertos
most
códex y
complete
ciertos
guide on
tomos de
what you can
batalla,
hope
donde
for,
tengo
and
aquí...
perhaps the most information on
Os
orcs
recuerdo
has
que
ever
si
been in one
cogemos
place.
ciertos
Every
códex...
unit gets
Bueno,
its
esto
own
no...
full bestiary
¿Dónde
section,
tengo
for
yo aquí
example.
ahora el códex?
Information on
Vale,
the glyphs,
no tengo ahí
information
el
on
códex,
like,
pero bueno,
what clan
tengo...
icons and things.
Ya
Like,
sabéis.
it's really great. But also
Que
some people
somos
might be
viejos
interested
y
in
que
the
los
rules.
hemos
Yeah,
sufrido
so
en
one of the
tapa
big changes
blanda,
to the
Ahora
rules
no me
in this
vengáis
codex
a
versus
ser
the previous
exquisitos.
ones was in the last
El único
edition,
problema
there
que
was
yo
quite a lot of
tengo
rules in your
es
codex,
el
but quite a lot of
precio.
them you couldn't use in all the
Si el
different types of
precio es el
games. So
mismo,
if,
eso es un
some
poco
of it you
feo.
could only use in Crusade games, for example. All of the rules in this codex, and there are at least as many rules in this one as there were in the last one, you
Yeah.
can use in every type of game. One of the ways that
Ah, sí,
manifests,
las ediciones
you'll immediately
especiales no lo
notice,
dudes. Eso
is
seguro que
the
son en
amount of
tapa dura.
detachments that you get to play with. There are
Eso
15
segurísimo.
different orc detachments in this codex.
That's loads of ways to use your
Loads of
army,
different ways
right?
to put your army together,
Ese es muy
ranging
viejo,
from
sí, pero
lots of different sizes
los
in terms of
teníamos,
detachment
tío.
points. It gives you a huge variety of different ways that you can potentially put an army
Pero hemos
together.
probado la
Some
tapa
of
dura y
these
queremos la
you
dura.
can probably
Hombre, yo
guess the
prefiero la
themes. There
tapa
are
dura,
like some fast ones, some
No
stompy
porque me la
ones.
vaya a
Yeah,
llevar
that
a los
always gives it some
torneos y
away,
tal
doesn't
cual,
Right, like
porque
so there's
obviamente
some
no me
ones
los
you could
puedo
probably
llevar a
guess
los
at, but there'll
torneos,
be
los
loads of
estos,
brand new ways that you can put together
pero
an orc army
prefiero la
that's just
tapa
never
dura.
been possible before, and it gives you a
Exacto.
sense of what codexes will
Y
feel like in the new edition, where
es que
they
os
will
podría
bring this
enseñar,
huge
pues
variety
eso.
of list building
Y en
opportunities.
tapa
Yeah,
blanda los hemos
absolutely.
sufrido en
And
hecho
there's
Sigmar, no
more
hace
to
tan
it than just
lejos.
the detachments.
¿Vale?
Obviously, the rules have
Dos
been
ediciones.
looked
En
at by
segunda
the
edición
Warhammer
íbamos con
rules
tapa
team,
blanda.
and they've come up with some things. This is the army special rule, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah,
Bueno,
so
algunos con tapa
WAR,
blanda.
right?
Guarda en
But you,
primera
you can't
edición
have
y en
WAR, you
segunda
can't have an
edición
orc
ya nos
codex
pasamos a
without
tapa
WAR.
dura. Ya
The
no me
WAR
acuerdo.
rule has changed a
Es que
little
tengo
bit.
algunos en tapa blanda y
So
otros
there'll
en
be some
tapa
things
dura.
that are familiar. There's some slight changes. It still allows you to run and charge, but it now lets you re-roll that
La
roll as
caja
well.
guardando en
It
tapa
also
blanda es la
lets you
especial.
have assault on
Bueno,
all of
pues
your
eso
weapons, which is a
esperemos.
thing it didn't used to do. So that means that if you've gone for a very
Eso
shooty army, so
esperemos.
like speed freaks, you've got loads of like bikes and buggies and things.
Yeah, we're going
that-
to stand back with flash kits
yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
immediately really useful. And it also gives you the riled up ability, which triggers all sorts of things across all the sorts of different bits of the codex, where other units will become more powerful, and you still get that invulnerable
Opa,
save
pues
as well to
no.
make your
It's a
orcs.
really great
It's a
army rule,
really,
isn't it?
really good rule. For
Vale,
one
sí,
turn of the
aquí ya
game, you'll
están
have a
subiendo
great
los
turn
artículos.
every
No
single
los
game.
voy a poner
Yeah,
en
and then
pantalla,
all of
pero
the
ya están
units
subiendo
within the
con,
codex have
con
had
los
their
starters.
data sheets looked at. So here's the truck that we just showed you before, and you can see what's gone on with it. So you can see the different weapon options and things to give you a sense of what it means for your codex, I suppose.
Yeah, so what you'd expect, it still kind of has a similar-ish stat line to what the truck does at the moment. It is a kind of
He de
medium-sized
deciros
vehicle.
que las
The things that you'll notice
cajitas
are
que
it
nos
has
han
more weapon
enseñado
options
también
than it used to. So you've
son,
got options there for different combat
son
weapons,
de las
different
prepintadas,
shooting weapons.
And piling
De las
out is quite
chiquititas del
quite a
Teno.
nice
Yeah,
thing, isn't
you've
it?
got a really cool little mechanic where if an enemy unit gets nearby, something like a
al menos
fire
son los
dragons
mismos
or
edificios. No sé si
eliminators or
vendrán
something is ready
prepintados
to
o
kind
no,
of
pero
eradicate, sorry, ready to kill your truck, you can pile the boys out, ready to kind of countercharge or to avoid being caught in the explosion or something like that. It's a really useful little rule that's got some quite neat little tactical plays you can do with it. So I think
Así
truck's
que
going to be very
cuidado.
useful.
Yeah, perfect. And then in terms of other data sheets that have been looked at, it'd be worth looking at the Orc Boys, who really have had something of a stat line glow up.
Claro,
it's
por
fair
eso
to say.
yo me
Yeah,
pasé,
there's, so
por
there's a
eso yo
lot
tengo
going on
tapa dura,
on
porque me
this
pasé
data
ahí
sheet,
del
and I think
español
I
al
would
inglés.
recommend if you've got an orc army, take a screenshot.
Porque
Just
si
Yeah,
go
now
start
is
it.
the
cojo
moment
el
to
Sublight
record this.
o
There's,
el
the first thing you'll
Hurricane,
notice
estoy
is there's
seguro que están en
loads of
inglés
weapon
ya.
options. So one of the things we got asked a lot about the Armageddon box was, is that all the options that the orcs will have in the new edition? It absolutely isn't. You've got loads of different choices.
In fact, more than you've had recently.
More than I think you've ever had for an orc unit. You've got some classic stuff returning.
Madre,
So you've
una
got
de
a
las dos
burner back in
cambiaron,
this
¿no?
Big
unit
fan
now,
of not having roll to hit.
which is pretty cool. You've got loads of different
Pues estoy
options for
leyendo
your
ahí.
boss's weapon. And the thing I want
Y
to draw
como
your
os
attention
digo,
to is almost
la
kind of tucked away right at the
escenografía
bottom of that stat line there is the
que viene
strength
en las
of a
cajas
basic orc
pequeñitas
boy
es la
is now
prepintada.
5.
Es la
And that
misma.
is
Such bad news for
that
Space
is an
Marines.
across the codex
Así
update
que-
to your orcs. Every single orc is at least strength 5 all of the time now. So that goes for boys, it also goes for your kind of beast snaggers, and all of the things like your knobs and war bosses and everything get a commensurate
Mirando a
increase
ver
as
si pone
well.
algo de
So your
prepintado,
already
tal y
pretty
cual.
scary orcs get even scarier
Ah, no,
all the time.
pone
in
que es
close combat.
unpainted.
Fantastic.
Vale,
I
sí,
think
sí, sí. Las cajas
it just
pequeñitas
looks
pone
like a load
unpainted
of great information. I'm really excited
I'm gonna
about this
have a great
codex.
y
time.
luego las
Yes,
otras
I'd have a
sí
really
que
good
la
And it
otra
heralds
sí.
something
Vale,
really interesting.
ahora
The
ya
last
sí,
thing to
ahora ya
talk
sí.
about with the codex
Estaba
is
leyendo mientras tanto. Por eso estaba
obviously
callado.
in the back of it, it includes the code that you will put into your Warhammer 40,000 an app to unlock and access the rules. It does something else on
¿Cuánto
top
llevamos?
of that.
25
This is
minutos
kind of like
de
your
esto. Qué
passport
maravilla.
to ongoing content for your Warhammer 40,000 Orc Codex throughout its lifespan. There will be regular drops of lore and rules so that you can continue to get great stuff out of your codex as the time continues. They've given us a sneak peek into some of the stuff that's coming, and it sounds both really cool and really thematic. So I'm quite excited to see what happens with that. And then I
Muy
imagine
bien.
all the other codexes.
Gracias por todo,
Yep,
Eddie.
absolutely.
Perfect. So, yeah, the first codex coming down the pipe is Warhammer 40,000 Orcs, and it looks amazing.
Do stick around. We
Yeah,
have more
codex
Warhammer
up.
40,000 for you later
Gracias.
in the preview.
Yes,
as
yeah,
well,
we'll be
so do stick
returning
around.
to the 41st millennium later on in the show.
Sí, luego
For now,
dicen que
though,
va a
we're
haber
going to
como
segue into
un
something which is
sneak
quite interesting.
preview,
We've talked a
¿no?
lot
Supongo que
about
sea un vídeo
ways to
súper
get
corto
people who are
de
new to
siluetas o
Warhammer
alguna cosa
started with
así, o
Warhammer
algo muy...
40,000.
Yeah.
So let's talk for a little bit about the Warhammer Academy.
Warhammer Academy. ¿Qué es esto? Pero el Warhammer Academy no eran los libros de chavales que van a hacer una serie de... No puede ser que hagan la acción de real porque esto parece fanfic total. No, esto no es... Esto es otra cosa, ¿no? ¿Qué es esto?
Wise wizard beneath the mountain, we are in search of enlightenment. Long and difficult has been our journey, and many things are still hidden from us.
Tell me what you seek.
What is the difference between the Black Rage and the Red Thirst?
How do you get decals to lay smoothly on a Space Marine shoulder?
Yeah.
And how
Diferencias
exactly do
entre
you
cosas
use
de
command
40k,
points?
me están contando conceptos.
So you seek to learn the ways of Warhammer.
La serie de Amazon de Henry Cavill. Es esto. Y cágate Lorete. Que es una nueva web. Ah, una nueva web para
So,
novatillos.
Wise Wizard Beneath the Mountain. What is the Warhammer Academy?
I'm so glad you asked, Eddie. Warhammer Academy is a really exciting thing that we've been working on behind the scenes here at Games Workshop for a while now, and is the perfect way to answer the question,
Menos
how
es
do I
gratis.
get started?
Bueno, es
with
gratis
Warhammer?
por ahora lo que
The idea is
sabemos,
that
que
people
luego
come to
tendrá
this
la versión de
website,
pago.
which is free to use, and they can get guided first steps
Pues sí, hay
on how
novatos,
to
Kumba.
begin exploring
De
Warhammer.
hecho,
So there's,
se
gonna
dice
be
que,
at
por ejemplo,
launch,
Nicho Sigmar
like,
está subiendo
well
la
over
gente
100
nueva.
videos, which are all video lessons. that
¿Relleno?
deal with,
No, hombre,
lore
mi
and collecting,
nerdito.
with painting,
Luego lo
modeling,
otro, así,
and
flash,
with
flash,
gaming,
flash.
to
Lo
get
van a
you on
sacar,
your
¿sabes?
first steps. I'm out of breath. I had to throw this
Que
costume on.
llevamos ya
To get you started on your sort of first steps through
15 minutos con
Warhammer.
esto.
When the website launches, it will focus on Warhammer 40,000 to coincide alongside all of these new starter
Ay,
products so
Dios.
that people can
Voy a
like,
bostezar.
experience Warhammer for the first time and go through sort of learning all about the universe and what the factions and the armies are, and really going on that same journey that we've all been when we've been able to sit down with somebody who's told us all about what Warhammer is.
A Warhammer ya se viene llorado, ¿no? Mi nerdito.
Start really basic and then go all the way through to some really
Hombre, si
great
no tienes
techniques
ni
that
idea,
will
yo
have
creo
your
que
army
está
looking
bien, ¿vale?
fantastic.
Para
And then
introducir
the
a
gaming
gente
side takes it from the assumption you've never played a game of Warhammer
que no
before,
tiene acceso
and takes you all the way
a
through to playing your
estas
first games of
cosillas y
Combat
que
Patrol,
pues
which we
lo quiere
played
ver
and
a
had
su
a lot of fun
ritmo
with.
y tal, y lo puede ver así.
And so you should be able to
Me
have
parece bien.
a wonderful experience. If you
Lo
are
que no me parece
completely
bien
new
es
to
que se
Warhammer or
tiren
there's
este tiempo
somebody in your life
en
that wants to get
publicitando
started,
esta
this
cosa.
is a wonderful thing to point them towards when we launch it, and they'll be able to take their first steps. If you want to sharpen your own skills, we talk about, as we've been working on the Academy, that you can build your skills, your confidence, and your experience to get the most out of this wonderful Warhammer hobby that we all enjoy. And so the whole purpose of this Academy, which is free to
Bueno, pues
use,
nada.
is to just get on
Lo
board
jodido es
and
que luego
sharpen
queda
those
la
skills
Legión
and your
Imperial
confidence and have a great time.
y eres que
Sounds wonderful.
Nice. And the
No
releases
metes al dinástica
alongside
milagro.
those Warhammer 40,000 starter sets that we talked about previously. So not long now, a month or so, and then you'll be able to see Warhammer Academy for yourself.
Sounds great.
Perfect. I'm really excited.
Perfecto.
Right. Now I'm going to get out of this costume, and while we do, let's travel to the old world.
Mira, Old World, a ver qué tal. Mira, el dragón, ahí está el dragón. Y los guerreritos, a ver qué tal. Cajote de Katai contra Caos. Todo lo de Katai que ya se ha visto, que más o menos en los rumores lo que decían. Y nuevo guerrero del caos. Bueno, más mazacote. Yo los veo más mazacote. No están mal. Me gustan, están bien. Me gustan. Y ahí el dragón del caos. Con sus dos cabecitas. Pues bien, está bien el dragón del caos. Mola, mola. A ver ahora que nos pongan una
Welcome
imagen
back.
buena.
I've returned to normal,
Uy, ya son
and
muy
we are
grandes. Eso no va a
now
gustar,
thrilled by some news for Warhammer: The Old World. That was a great-looking box of miniatures. There's a lot to talk about. We've got some of the models here to get close-ups on in a little while. For now, let's dive into that new two-player box for Warhammer: The Old World.
Sí,
This
se alejan
features
bastante
two
slaves.
armies
Yo los
going head-to-head. You
veo
have the army of Grand
que no son
Cathay
tan
going
slaves.
up against the Chaos Warriors. So within it, you will see in a moment the Cathay force. This is Grand Cathay. They're fairly recent addition
Yeah, they're
to
quite new
Warhammer the
miniatures,
Old
aren't
World.
they, these ones?
And this is an army you'll have
Ya
already
estamos
seen
con los
before.
killers
So you've got
todos,
the Jade
Andrés,
Warriors,
que
you've
luego los
got the
vendes,
Jade
tío.
Lancers, units that you'll be familiar with.
Cálmate.
And they're taking a big
No, las minis
part
están
in
muy
the
chulas,
sort of
las minis
ongoing
están
struggles
chulas,
in the
yo
old
lo he
world at the
dicho.
moment. They've dispatched an enormous
No son
force to aid
slaves,
against the
están como
chaos
más
invasion that's taking
mazacote.
place.
Yo los he
It's
visto
a
más
beautiful army.
mazacote a estos
You've seen
guerreros
it
del
before.
caos.
The showstopper for this new box
Los veo
is
más
the
mazacotes, ¿no?
wonderful new range of
Más
all plastic
tirando
Warriors
a
of Chaos,
Nargel,
which
¿sabéis
you'll
lo que os
find
digo?
in the
Más,
other half of this box set. So here you can see the Chaos
más
Warriors
mazacote.
themselves.
Yeah, this is an
También
amazing
molan,
update
¿sabes? A mí
to
me molan.
your Warhammer Old World Warriors of Chaos. Warriors of Chaos, of course, one of the archetypal
Estoy mirando a
villains, one of the
ver
archetypal
si se
visuals, really,
repiten piernas,
of
cuántos van a
Warhammer,
venir en
the Old
eso.
World.
Más
This is a
cuadriculados, sí,
really
más,
cool
más
army.
mazacote.
All the bits in this are multi-part, and these are all brand new plastic miniatures.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Chaos Warriors are kind of the mainstay of the Warriors of
Y
Chaos
vienen
Army.
8.
These are elite
Ya sabéis.
heavy infantry in the best armor
8.
that you can get in Warhammer the Old World, and they stride forward in ranks of hard to kill warriors, and they will
mucho
be punishment
pincho.
when they get there. Of course, they are but part of this new force. The other part, and perhaps the most iconic of the Warriors of Chaos units, are the Chaos Knights. These are
Son la
super
revisión de
elite
Guerreros del
heavy
Caos
cavalry.
antes de
Inside
Texas.
this new
Bueno,
box, you
eso lo
get
dices tú
4
antes.
Chaos Knights. It's a classic
Así
size. If
todo
you
es
remember
antes
the
de
days of yore, going back
Texas.
in time a long way now.
Que son
when
como
Chaos Knights used to often
con
feature
pinchos.
units of 4. So you have what you'd expect.
Yo
a
no lo veo
champion
tanto
in
como
addition, a
caballeros
standard
medievales,
bearer, and then
lo
an
siento
additional
mucho.
knight. They can be swapped out with the lances that you see here in the picture.
And
so
you can
do
add
big
into the
units.
unit, obviously, and
Yeah,
make it
absolutely.
Estos
bigger.
son más mazacote.
You get 4 in the box. You'll be able to get more as time goes on. So if you want to build bigger units of Chaos Knights, you certainly will be able to. Chaos Knights are some of the hardest hitting and most
Pero está
dangerous
bien, oye,
cavalry units
y
in
lo que
all
se
of
dice,
Warhammer.
oye, que
They're also
quieres,
just like
que no te gusta tanto la estética
almost
Slave to
the
Darkness de los
archetypal
caballeros
heavy
del caos,
cavalry,
pues
right?
ya
Like,
sabéis,
when
podéis
you
tirar
build an
por ahí,
army
lo
for
malo es
Warhammer
que
the
son
Old World, you're
8.
like, well, I can take a charge, but could I take
Claro,
a
que
charge
te
from
tienes que
Chaos
comprar
Knights?
hasta
It's like
24
the
para hacerte una
absolute
unidad de
pinnacle of the
20.
hardest hitting unit. So lots of people very
Claro,
keen to include this unit in
porque
their
son
army. If
de
you've
unidad
got a
de 10,
Chaos
no los
Force,
guerreros del
so
caos, si no me
almost
equivoco.
never see a Chaos army without a unit of Chaos Knights. They're just so
Así que,
effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
bueno,
And then the
pues
force
eso,
is led
eso
by
está.
some champions of chaos.
Y
You've got
luego,
one on
pues un
foot and one on a horse.
portaestandarte.
This one here you can see is modelled as a battle standard bearer. The
El
kit contains enough
portaestandarte
options
me
that you
gustan
can swap
cosas y
around
otras
the
no
things.
tanto.
So in a moment,
Lo
as
que
we
llevan
see the screen
encima de la
progress,
cabeza
you'll
no,
see
pero
some of
los
the things you
cuernos
can
sí
do.
que me
It also
molan.
has a chaos champion on a demonic mount. This is
El
my favourite
campeón del
model in the
caos
set. It is
en montura
beautiful and
demoníaca.
is a really iconic
No me
image.
gusta
I think it
tanto
looks
porque es
like
que es
the
muy
artwork
estática.
of Chaos Warriors from some of those old Warhammer Fantasy
Ahí,
army books.
porque de los que
And
van a
the
pie me
miniatures have
podría
finally
esperar
got to the point where they can capture
esa
like the thing that you sort of imagined that Chaos Warriors what you
esa
wanted them
parte
to look like
estática.
all
O
those years
incluso el
ago. It's just
portaestandarte, que
such
lleva el
a
estandarte.
cool
No,
kit.
no, no
I
le
love the
pido que
standard
vaya
bearer
a
as
ser
well. I
muy
think this
dinámico, ¿no?
champion kit is one of the best sort of
Pero
hero
del tío a
kits
caballo,
that Warhammer's yet released.
Yeah, I don't have a Chaos Army.
sabes, no sé.
Warhammer, I never have, but I would
Este
really
es el
like
que
to
menos me
get that
gusta,
model. I
porque
think
es
it just works
mazacote
beautifully.
100%.
So, let's talk for a little bit about that box. It's a 2-player
¿Sabes?
core box
Los
for
otros sí que me
Warhammer
gustan,
the Old
porque
World. It's essentially
lo veo
what you
normal.
need to
Son
start playing Warhammer
caballeros
the
a
Old World.
pie,
If you
muy
haven't before,
pom
it's an
pom,
enormous
¿sabes?
box. It
Pues sí que
contains
lo
the
veo que
armies. It
tengan que
also
ser
contains the
estáticos, que no
rulebook
vayan corriendo y
and
haciendo
a
cosas
muster
raras.
list. The rulebook is the same rules as you currently use for Warhammer the Old World.
Mismas
So
reglas.
just sat there worrying that this is going to change the rules that you're playing with. It won't. The difference really with this rulebook and the rulebook you already have, if you're already playing the Old
Mismas
World,
reglas.
is that the erratas and things that exist online are woven into this. So that should make life a little
You
bit
can bring
easier.
just this book and you don't need to worry about any other documents. Or anything. You
Exactly.
can just have
And
the book.
then
Ha dicho
further
que el
to that,
core
it has an
es el
additional
mismo.
section called Battle March. We'll talk more about that in a little
I
while.
saw another miniature when we were showing off some of that
Yeah,
chaos
we'll
stuff.
just
Pero que
talk
es que ha
about
dicho
Muster
que
List
son las
before we
mismas
go.
reglas,
Muster
que
List
no es
is the rules for the
2.0.
models
Yo
that are in
eso
the
no lo he
box. There you
escuchado,
go.
¿eh?
This is
Pero claro,
how
estoy
to play
hablando así que
Warhammer
no,
all in
no lo
one handy
escucho.
box. And
Pero
it's
ahora
very
lo veré.
exciting and continues the thing that we know and love. Now,
Let's talk dragons, Adam.
yeah, let's talk
A ver,
dragon.
el
We're all
dragón,
very
que yo
excited.
creo que
This
aquí
might
es
be
donde
my
está la
favourite thing in the
chicha, ¿no?
entire
El
preview.
dragón, que
It
puede
is
molar
such a
bastante.
show-stopping model. This is the Warriors of Chaos, Lord on Chaos Dragon, and there's so much to talk about. Eddie?
You just get the sense of the size
No
of it
está
just from
mal.
that shot
Hay
where it was
cosas
already
que no
taller
me
than the
terminan de
three-story building
apasionar.
Yeah, no
behind
kidding.
it. It is an absolutely enormous,
Pero
phenomenally
no
cool miniature
creo
for
que
Warhammer the Old World. I
guste
think probably
mucho
the biggest monster we've had
al
released yet.
It's
fanático
got to be right
antiguo
up there.
de
And there have been some fantastic kits since Warhammer
Fantasy,
Old World launched.
porque no se parece a los
There's things to talk
dragones
about. The first, I want to just wax lyrical on how cool Chaos Dragons
de
are.
fantasy.
We've seen this image
No se
before of
parece,
Chaos Dragons
tiene
with
mucho
two
más
heads.
cuerpo.
There used to be a like a
El
special
cuello es más
cat.
grande,
Yeah,
con la
Garak,
cabeza,
the Chaos Dragon, which was the kind of
está
one that
más
had eaten the Lord of
equilibrado.
Change, and then before
No
that
es
you
como
had Von
los...
Horseman,
That's right,
who
yeah.
was the kind of former College
Ojo,
of Magic in
yo
the
ahí,
Empire
cuidado.
Character,
Además, el
who
cuerpo
was
es
on a
muy
two-headed
del
Xingqian
de
dragon.
Archon,
But that's a
del
long
Dorgar
time ago.
mutado.
We've never had a plastic version of it. A plastic two-headed Chaos Dragon has been a long time coming, and I think even though we've waited decades for it, this is worth the wait. This is a
absolutely.
really cool model.
It's also what we sometimes call a two for kit, in that you can make a different option with it. So you've seen the Chaos Lord. This is a Sorcerer Lord.
Y luego el
and
Sorcerer,
there's some differences.
me
The
gusta
first is the
pintar el
Rider. Obviously,
Sorcerer
he's
de
now a
la
100
esta. El
wizard Chaos
Sorcerer
Sorcerer,
tampoco
which is a
me interesa
powerful unit
mucho.
in its own right. It can be up to a level 4 wizard. He's
Pero
not
el
bad in a
dragón
fight.
está muy
He's
guapo,
backed up by
¿vale?
a
A mí el
two-headed
dragón
Chaos
me
Dragon.
parece que está muy,
Everything you
muy,
would
muy bien.
Yeah,
want
you're not
to
going to kill
enjoy.
him with a light cavalry unit, are you?
No, no,
Y
absolutely not.
aquí los de
Additionally,
hecho
there's some
Sigmar,
slight differences with the
vamos
dragon
a, o
itself.
los jugadores de
You'll
Slave
notice
to
that this one
Darkness se
has
van a
sort of
quejar
different frills
muchísimo
and
porque
things.
van a querer un
So if you
dragón
wanted two dragons,
del
you could
caos
have
como
different
este.
riders on them, and they would look a bit different. And then you
Y
with a
lo
little
veo
bit
normal,
of sort of paint magic. What you've got is two
Sí,
very
sí,
striking
M de
different
Sigmar.
Chaos
Es
Dragons in
que
your
en
army.
la pose y todo
Very
eso se
exciting
parece
centerpiece
muchísimo
model.
a Dorgar.
The images that the video team have put together here
Sí, ahora
capture
todo
its
ya es
majesty.
plástico.
It's possibly even better in the flesh, and we have it on the desk here. So you
Hombre,
can see it
sale del
looming over
típico
some of these
dragón
new Chaos Warrior models.
Yeah, one of the things we
de lo
haven't
que
mentioned as well is
sería
just next to the
un
Chaos Dragon, just below it
poco
here,
fantasy.
whichever one you don't build. So if you build the Chaos Lord on the dragon, you get
¿Sabes?
a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot, and if you build the Sorcerer Lord on the dragon, you get a
Pero
Chaos
bueno.
Lord on foot. So whatever way you build this, you get basically
Pero
two
con
very
este
powerful
dragón yo
heroes.
creo que va a haber
Sorcerer Lord that you
mucho
would get
lloro
if you build
por
it with the
parte
Chaos Lord, and then this
de
is
los
the
jugadores
Chaos
de
Lord on
Slave
foot
to
if you built
Darkness.
it with the Sorcerer.
Yo
So
me espero mensajitos
always
ahora
worth it when they destroy
de
heavy metal
Iñaki.
model live on video.
Tío, yo lo quiero. O algo
Really
así.
a great kit. You can see all the other
Mi-
things.
mi
it's
Just
got
the
imitación no ha
size
sido
of
la
it as
mejor
well. I
del
mean,
mundo, ya
these
lo
are
sé.
big models, right?
Pero-
The Chaos Knights are not small cavalry models, and this is about 4
Pero
times the
bueno,
height of
os
them.
lo imagináis.
So
Vale.
it's a big old beast. And also just phenomenally good in the game as well, right? Like a Chaos Lord on a two-headed Chaos Dragon is up there with the very best units in all of
muy
Warhammer the
grande.
Old World. There's
Y es que
almost
es muy
nothing that can
grande.
go toe to toe.
Es
I
que
just
esto
want
no
to,
va a
before we move
gustar
on from Chaos Warriors,
a los
have a look at the back of the
que se
Chaos
quejan
Champion
así
models.
de
You can see all of this amazing extra detail. He's got like fur
de
under his
esto, no,
saddle.
no
He's
les
got
va a
like
gustar
heads
eso.
hanging from chains. Like the detail on these models is just wild.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's worth calling out actually about these Chaos Warriors particularly is that these are Chaos Warriors designed for Warhammer the Old World, so they're meant to look like the logical extension of the kind of Marauder
Absolutely,
archetype.
they're very
So
much
Pero
sort
bueno,
of the sort
me ha
of chaos
parecido
armored
bastante
barbarians from the
decente.
north.
There's still a little bit of that kind of like
Lo que hay.
barbarian raider
Ya
vibe to
habéis
them.
visto,
They've
me ha
got the
gustado
look
los
of someone
guerreros,
who's kind
el
of
dragón,
walked out of the
el
Arctic
estandarte,
north
me ha
of
gustado
the Warhammer
bastante.
world. So that
Just
they,
about to ransack the
Y
old.
lo que no
Absolutely,
me ha
yeah.
gustado tanto
Gotta
es
love it.
la pose
Right,
estática del campeón en
obviously,
montura.
alongside the new core box, people might want to get their hands on some other things that would be useful. So here you can see
Que si va
common
a
magic
gustar, ya
items
lo
and
veréis.
laws of magic. These are cards which enable you to
Ya
do quick
veremos.
reference as you're playing your games and can be very useful. They're not required. Obviously, the rules for these things exist inside the book. There's also another thing that we said we would talk about a little bit. This is Battle March, the General's Companion. Now, Battle March is a new way to play games of Warhammer the Old World. The way this works is that you build smaller forces, not unlike Spearhead or Combat Patrol, between 400 and 700 points, and then you unleash them in games that are quicker to play and
han dicho
more
entre
straightforward.
700
There's
y
some
1000
rules in this
puntos este
companion
modo de
which
juego.
sort of detail how you make your
Pero que
forces.
no es
There's
ni
some
Combat
limitations
Patrol
on
ni
what you can and
Spearhead.
can't take and some requirements, and then there's
No
different
sé.
scenarios to
Si la
play.
gente yo lo veo
The
cuando veo
rules
vídeos
for
de
Battle
YouTube
March
por
are in the
ahí,
new
me
rulebook,
saltan y me
and there's
pone
those rules and
2500
more
puntos, tal
information
y cual.
and more scenarios and ways to play are found inside this Battle March General's Companion. So whichever one you want to take as your option in, you can start playing, I don't know, like lunchtime games,
será
or
mucho
maybe
más
like
grande
a
que el de
campaign
Canry, ¿no
across a weekend
creéis?
of like quick turnaround games.
or if you've
Sí,
just
es que
started an army for
parece
the first
que
time and you
ocupa
maybe
más
haven't got enough
espacio,
to play
porque
a
como el de
full-size
Canry
game,
va
you can
muy
still
pegado al
play with
suelo,
a smaller
pues
force.
tiene pinta de
Yes,
que sí,
now,
que será bastante
to help
más,
you with
más
that,
grande.
they're releasing the first of
Más
Battle March
grande de
armies.
que
So this is the
ocupar
Warriors of Chaos
volumétricamente
and Grand
parece,
Cathay
¿sabes?
Battle
Pero
March
como,
armies,
porque el otro
and they
va como
contain
pegado
a
al
variety
suelo.
of units deliberately designed to give you a
Y luego
good Battle March
pues
experience. And
para
you could
jugar.
totally add these
¿Esos
to the new
caballeros del
box,
caos
and then you
son
have
ya
nice
los
big armies
antiguos
if you
o
want
son
to
Yeah,
los
play
we were
nuevos? Lo que
talking
viene
about
ahí,
if you
porque
add either of these
me
boxes
me
onto
están volviendo
your,
loco
the
con
new
los
sets
giritos
coming out with
de
the
todo el
Warriors of
rato,
Chaos
¿vale?
and the Army of Grand Cathay, and then you add
120
something like
euros
a,
como
I don't know,
poco,
a monster like a
fácilmente.
two-headed dragon,
Yeah, or a Cathayan dragon.
or a
perhaps,
Cathayan
yeah.
dragon.
Yo
you've
creo
pretty much
que
got an army
harán
ready
eso,
to go.
120 euros
These are really lovely places to
como,
start a force,
como el precio de
or
las
just a
Spearhead
really
y
good way
las
to bolt on
Combatas
loads of
del
troops onto
Ejecutor.
an
Ahí
army.
tienes,
Yeah,
tienes toda
absolutely.
la razón.
There's also more
Yo
coming
lo
for the
veo
old
bastante
world. This
probable.
is the Arcane
Y
German the
Arcane
March of
Journal
Chaos.
de la Marcha del
This
Caos.
continues the
Con
narrative
esto yo
that we're
creo
seeing
que más o
unfold
menos
in the
parece
old
ser
world
que
at the
no va a
moment.
haber
The
más de
Chainbreaker, this
caos, ¿no?
Chaos Lord, is descending
Ojo,
from the north
que
with
si
an enormous throng.
recapitulamos
They're
junto
plowing
con
through the
los
northern
barbaritos y
provinces
tal,
of the Empire.
les ha
Even the
quedado una
forces
renovación,
of
unas
Rank
cositas
Thane have
bastante
been called in,
interesantes.
well, volunteered themselves to come in and try and stave off this invasion, and it's a grim affair. Magic is
¿Qué
being applied
dices?
around
El dragón,
everywhere. So
120
that card
pavos.
deck is for magic ploys, which the
¿Cuánto
Winds of Magic
cuesta
are so furiously that there's loads of different magic
el de
escapades
Kenry?
and things to get on with. It's a really good time to be playing Warhammer Old World right now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the narrative they're kind of weaving as well.
Voy a
about all
mirar
these
cuánto cuesta el
different
de
invasions
Kenry.
leading up to a big war. Some would say a great war.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, I like that. That was a good deep cut if you know your Warhammer history. So, slight segue. It's not quite the old world, but it's very similar. Let's talk about Blood Bowl for a minute.
Blood Bowl. A ver, si
Blood
es el
Bowl is
personaje
the game
que,
of fantasy football, and there
que
are
se
some really
rumoreaba
exciting things to
momia.
show with the release of the new Spike Journal. This is Spike Journal
Ah, mira,
22.
el Spike.
Blood Bowl Sevens is the theme. What's Blood Bowl Sevens? I hear
No
you
veo
ask.
el
Well, I'm
dragón.
glad
Blood Bowl
you do.
Sevens, Adam.
There you go. Perfect.
No
Blood
lo
Bowl
tienen a la
Sevens is
venta.
essentially a
Aquí
way
está.
of playing Blood
Oh,
Bowl,
pues el
which
dragón
is
son
akin
80
to
pavos.
like rugby sevens or five-a-side football.
84.
So you're
Ojo.
compacting your team. You're playing faster games on a smaller pitch. It's very frenetic.
Pero
It really changes
luego
quite
si
a
nos
lot of
ponemos
the
con,
tactics and the ways that you would play, and makes for
porque
a
por tamaños
entirely
podría
different and
igualar
very
al
fun
tema de la
experience.
linterna.
You get 4
Ojo
of your
al
positionals
tema de la
in this game,
linterna
so
de
you've got
Katai.
quite a lot of skills and things on the tabletop, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm excited for this,
La
but I'm
linterna de
even
Katai
more
costaba
excited for what
120.
we're about to show you, which is some fantastic new Blood Bowl
130.
miniatures. The first of which is a new big one available for several teams. This is the Rat Ogre.
I love this model. I think the thing that I most love
Sí, que
about it is
130.
if you look at his
Mira,
shoulder,
una
he
rata
has a
ogro.
little rat with a piece of cheese and a flag on his tail.
That is beautiful, but is it better or as good as a rat wearing a gas mask and carrying a lump
Una
of
rata
water?
ogro en
It's very
plástico,
close,
que
and I think you'll have to
ojalá
make
cuando
that
jugaba
decision for
yo con
yourself
mis
how you
sobrinas
get
en
hold
Blood
of your own
Bowl,
rat
lo
ogre. I
hubiese
think the
tenido,
key
que la
thing
Build
quería,
your
pero
rat ogre
solo,
without either of those rats, but
solo
boom.
estaba
I
en
mean, you
resina
could
y
if you
había que
wanted to
pedirla
not
y
have a rat on his shoulder. You
empastar.
guess you could do without.
The
But
funny thing is,
does anyone want that?
this is also a great model, but if you're
Ya,
not
pero mi
taking one
Aujin
of
no
the
iba en
rats, I
resina.
think you've gone mad. This is available for a number of teams. Obviously, you can use
Y
it
el
in this
bicho son
gaming team,
100,
but
y
also you can
el
denizens
bicho
and the
tocho
Chaos
son
Renegade teams.
120, así
If
que
you want
yo
some
ya
real
digo,
muscle to go in there and just clobber the
el
enemy,
que se
break the enemy lines that
espere
your
menos de
team
120
can run through
You've
the
got some
doorbells.
mutation options in there.
puede
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
ir.
Speaking of big uns, there's another one on the way. This is a
Pues sí,
Minotaur.
porque
O
están
Minotaur.
sacando
Yeah,
todos
absolutely.
los big guys, ¿no?
This is another one of those iconic,
O todos,
heavy-hitting
o
Blood
varios
Bowl
big
units,
guys.
and it's again
Así que
available for a variety of Blood Bowl teams. You can use it in the Chaos
sí,
Chosen, you
comprobado.
can use it in
Es
the
que,
Chaos
a ver,
Dwarf
pues
list, you
podría
can use it in the
coger y
Chaos Renegade teams,
actualizar el este.
and here you can see the different ways you can build it to
Pero,
fit
a mí,
more
pero
in with
a
the
mí lo que me
teams that
interesa
you're
es qué
used to
pasa
using.
con los
Yeah, so
caballeros.
this one here on the screen at the moment, rather than hands or even hooves, has got kind of
Yeah,
scorpion
why
claws.
catch the ball, right?
Yeah, he's not going to do much
Que se
catching,
va
but
para
he
quinta.
might do even better clobbering than a regular Minotaur.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, those are wonderful. The thing I'm most excited about, not just
sí
for
que
this
hay unos
Blood Bowl
caballeros nuevos del
reveal,
caos y
but
no los
maybe
han
in all
sacado,
of Blood
¿no?
Bowl is our next reveal.
He is your favourite, Adam.
Morgenthau is my favourite thing about Blood Bowl. I absolutely
No,
love him.
no los
He's
han
been
puesto
an
en el
iconic
vídeo, ¿no?
character from, like, right from the start. There
Oh,
is
yo
a
me lo he
new
perdido.
multi-part plastic Morgenthau model coming, and he is wonderful. The kit enables you to make him in one of 3 very iconic designs. Here you can see the
Oh, yo me lo he
Remus
perdido.
one, which really sort of connects to that iconic artwork that we're used to seeing with Morg. Here is another version. This is him in his gouged
Me estoy
eye
volviendo loco.
motif when he played for an orc team, and you can see like the orc charms and things around his neck. This is for the
Sí
Chaos
estaban.
All
Ah, me lo he
Stars. when he
perdido.
played
Vale,
with
vale,
that,
vale, menos
team.
mal.
That was his first ever team. You see,
Yeah.
he's still got hair.
And you can see he's also got each of the Chaos Gods icons on his little chain around his neck as well, which is really cool.
Absolutely love it. If you are unfamiliar with Blood Bowl or Morg in particular, let me just tell you,
Bueno,
he
pues
is
nada.
genuinely
Sí
one
estaban,
of the
pues vale,
Adam,
bien.
can you
Es que
take
claro,
him in a
me-
halfling team?
cuando han
You
puesto
can,
la
and I
caja
have
girando,
used him
yo he
to
dicho,
lead my
pues se
halflings
parece
to
un poquito
almost
a...
glory.
Almost
and
glory,
times.
yeah.
I love
Pues
him.
me lo
He's
había
so good.
perdido, pues
He
entonces
hits like a
guay,
freight train.
pues
He's
bien.
really heavily armored. He's
Siguen
got great
siendo un
skills,
poquito
mighty blow,
estáticos por lo
loads
que
of
veo,
armor,
pero bueno,
everything you
luego
could
los
possibly want,
repasaremos.
and he costs a load of points. So halflings are really cheap. So
Can
you
he
stack
throw
it up.
halflings?
He can throw a halfling. In fact, my halfling, my favourite halfling, Captain Colin Head, scored many a touchdown and nearly died.
Bueno,
as he
pues
would be lobbed down the pitch. I
lo
could
del
talk
Blood
about
Bowl
Morg
hemos
for far too
fallado
long.
como...
It's coming soon. I'm very excited. Please let me have one. Let's look at the
Porque
models.
han decidido sacar
Okay,
aquí
all the
un
Morgs.
there we go.
montón
These are
de
the beautiful
bichos.
heavy metal painted Morg models, and here you can see what they look like. So going sort of from this side onwards, this is Morg. Were you to build him in that sort of gouged eye look, and you see his armor looks looks like the sort of armor that Black Orcs wear.
Yeah, so you've got different armor, different head, different chest plates. You've got a bunch of different options.
Yeah, and then this is more
¿Cuántas
with the
versiones van
Reader's uniform,
del hombre
and then,
este?
from I think the first edition Blood Bowl.
Oh yeah,
or was it
a
second?
number of them.
¿Cuántas
Yeah, I think it's
versiones
appeared
van
on a
ya?
couple of covers. And then if you wanted to do them as chaos,
Se va a
All Stars,
convertir en
you'd,
un
use
Marneo
this one.
Calgar,
But ultimately, build your
de
more
Blue
K
Bowl,
one
de las
who's going
versiones
to
que
club
tiene.
and score some touchdowns.
There you go.
We have the other models on the table as well. You can see the Minotaur, a Rat Ogre, and then another Minotaur. These are all hulking
him so you
models.
can get a
They
really good
tower
shot
above
of
the
that.
average lineman.
Right with the cheese there.
There you go. That's the
Pero
real
bueno,
start.
bueno, no está mal.
Perfect.
Hemos fallado todos
So there we
esta
go.
parte,
A
así
good time for
que
Blood Bowl. 3 amazing new big characters coming your way. A new way to play Blood Bowl in the new Spike Journal. I'm very excited about this.
tanques.
And we are
Tanques.
nowhere near done with this preview.
Let's keep going.
Right. Why don't we go to the Age of Darkness?
Vamos a ver. Ahí está. Claro, como tú lo has adelantado. Pues las motitos, custodes. ¿Quién había dicho custodes? Otra vez tú, ejecutor, había sido. Fast Attack and Massive Dreadnought. Vale, muy bien.
Welcome
Pues,
back. We
motitos,
have really excited to talk now about the Adeptus Custodes or Legio Custodes.
motos,
Well,
vamos a
it's
llamarlo así,
it's
¿no? La
both,
Jet-
Adam, because the
Perfect.
new
Thanks,
box set that's
sisters,
on
no?
its way is a reinforcement set for the Custodes, and you can use it for either Warhammer the Horus Heresy or Warhammer 40,000. And just in case you didn't believe us, we put the logos on the box.
It could
so
be
there's
vamos por
la
no
mitad,
confusion. You can absolutely use this
Ahora mismo
for
estamos
either
por
game
la mitad
system.
de la hora y
There are
media.
6 models in this box, which
Con
doesn't
esto se van
sound
a
like a
tirar
lot,
80
but when
You
you
minutos.
realize how big they
until you
are.
look at the models, which are huge and awesome.
Ah,
so let's
eras tú el
start
que había
with
dicho
the
custodes,
fastest
pero en
unit.
Yeah,
Imperialis,
these
¿no?
are the
Voy a
Gerfalcon
mirar a
jet
ver.
bikes, an iconic unit from the Legio Custodes force. They
Nadie
are
había
fast-moving,
dicho-
hard-hitting, heavily armed and
Nadie
armored
había
units,
dicho
which
custodes
are designed to storm in
Energía de
and
Horus.
break the back of enemy forces. Each
Oh,
custodian is armed like
qué
to the teeth.
pena.
There's loads of
Y
things
no
to talk
son
about here.
tanques, porque
The
los
first
tanques
thing
eran
would be to
antiguos.
mention that there's
A menos que ahora
different
saquen
guns
un
that
poco
come
de
on
un
these
tanque.
models. Essentially, you have a choice of the Adrathic Devastator, Arachnus Volley Gun, Twin Corvée Pulse Laser. That's the over and under one. You can see it looks a bit like an over and under shotgun. And then you also have the Lastrum Bolt Cannon. So loads of different weapons to do loads of different jobs. You
Yeah. So one of the things in a Custodes army, obviously, is you haven't got a lot of units because they tend to cost a lot of points. So you might find that you've got a couple of
pues
things that your
vienen
army's not
20
very good at killing.
Marauders.
And one of the things that
no,
units
claro,
like this
los
can do with
Marauders
loads
son
of
los
different
antiguos.
options. You
8
go, actually,
guerreros del
I really
caos.
need some
4
tactical
caballeros del
monsters
caos.
or
Buah.
infantry or something. So you can kit these out with almost a gun for almost any occasion, right?
Absolutely.
You can have
Tienes
different
que
guns across
comprar
the
3
unit,
para hacer
or you
10.
can actually go, I just want them all to be really good at killing vehicles, give them the best thing for killing the specific vehicle I think that I'm weakest into.
Yeah, all of them also have a Solarite Power Lance, which is a formidable power weapon,
It is
especially on the charge.
enormous. The Solarite Lance, it's about 3 times the length of a Space Marine.
Yeah,
I reckon
pero
you could
bueno,
kebab
a ver
about
qué tal.
5 Chaos Space
El
Marines.
que
on
tal
that
es que
thing.
está mirando
Yeah,
y dice, a
absolutely.
Henry Cavill le
So,
gusta esta
there's
preview.
4 of
Hombre, a
these
Henry
inside the
Cavill
set,
esto le
which is a
está, pero vamos,
brilliant unit to
extasiando.
go spearheading around the battlefield.
Pero
and
los
just,
caballeros son los
bring pain to
guerreros
the
a
enemy.
caballo,
It's
realmente
not the
no
only thing
están
that
los
moves
guerreros
fast in
del
this
caos
box.
y los
We also
caballeros
have the
del caos.
Palace
Los
Gravitate.
caballeros son los que
Yeah, the
van a
Palace
caballo,
Grav
los
Attack
guerreros
is
son
a
los que van a
fast-moving
pie.
skimmer for the Custodes.
Dice
You
que
can
los
kit it
caballeros
out
son
with
los
either
guerreros a
anti-infantry
caballo,
or
realmente. Sí,
anti-vehicle stuff.
caballeros
It
a
works a
caballo,
little bit
guerreros
like
a pie.
a land speeder is probably the way to think about it, and it's
Este
very
es el
useful
tanque.
for Custodes because you tend to have a lot
Este ya no
a lot
estaba.
of very expensive models, so you don't have very many small units.
Este ya
So
no
this can
estaba.
zip around
No,
the battlefield,
este no estaba.
taking objectives,
Porque
getting
el
the
núcleo
enemy where they're
central
hiding in a way that your
no me
infantry
suena.
is very good at holding ground, but not very good at kind of chasing stuff down.
Yeah, and this is another one of those
Os
units
voy a
you
dar
can use
medio
to sort of
punto.
cater for where you think you might need additional strength. Has
Vale,
2
os
weapons
voy
to
a dar
choose
medio
from,
punto
the
por
Twin
esto.
Arachnus Blaze Cannon or the
No
Twin
me
Iliastus
lloréis y diciendo que os voy a dar, porque bastante que no os voy a restar
so you can
puntos.
tailor your
Pero voy a dar medio
palace
punto a todos los
to
que habéis
deal
dicho
with
tanques, que
particular
sois una
threats.
barbaridad,
Well,
de
I
verdad.
think the model, the
showstopper.
showstopper of this
1,
box
2, 3,
is
bueno,
undoubtedly
a
the
Menorito
Telamon
no.
Dreadnought. This is
A
a
Victor le voy a
brand
dar medio.
new multi-part plastic
3.
kit, a
Caitas,
reinvention
¿no?
of the resin version, the already very nice resin version of the Telamon Dreadnought, but in glorious
Qué
multi-part
mierda de
plastic,
preview, nada
giving all the
interesante. Hombre, yo he
posability
visto cosas
with even more
interesantes.
detail and even more weapon options.
Yeah,
no hay
speaking of
tanques,
weapon
no-
options, I'll walk you through them. Between
no
its
mola.
shoulder blades, you can see the Spiculous missile launcher.
Hombre,
but
no,
there are
no
other
os
weapon
volváis
options
locos,
too.
que
Here you can
sabíamos
see
que
the
este momento
Iliastus
iba a llegar.
Accelerator Culverin,
Vale,
the
sabíamos
Adrathic
que este
Devastator,
momento en el
and
que
the
nos vuelvan a
Arachnus
enseñar de
Storm
aquí a
Cannon.
Euros y
On his other
Legends
hand, so you can
Imperialis
build those
iba a
as you
llegar.
will, choose the one
Y
that suits your
Necromunda.
loadout. On the other
Vale,
hand,
ahora
you
nos
have
vamos
the
a comer
Kestus, that's
20
essentially fancy
minutazos
Legio Custodes terms for
de
power
Ogors.
fist, with twin neutronium cascade
Vale, 20
projector.
minutos de
Yeah.
A
horror.
bit like a flamethrower, but with neutroniums.
Absolutely.
Otra cosa es que
Neutronium's more
lo que
deadly than flame,
nosotros
apparently.
Gotta
So there you
be,
go.
right?
en ese minuto.
One of those guns is, of course, new. The one that's currently equipped.
Yo mientras
the name
estoy
escapes me,
mirando las
sorry, the-
cositas,
Oh, I
¿vale?
think you are talking about the
qué bien, tal.
Elias's accelerated
Oh, yeah,
caliber.
exactly that one.
Estoy mirando
And
lo del
this is a
caos.
really beautiful kit, right? So you could paint this up very quickly if you wanted to, like a gold spray, and then a wash would make it look beautiful. But equally, if you wanted to take your time over all the detail of this, it is absolutely
Los
dripping in detail,
caderetes,
more
estoy
detail
mirándolos
even
un
than
poco.
was on some of those resin versions of this when it came out. We have one on the table, and we brought along some other dreadnoughts, so you could
Y el
sort of see
dragoncito. No
how it scales up.
una imagen
Do you wanna go
más
first?
grande,
Yeah, I'll go
más
first. This
mejor,
Telemon
pero
Dreadnought
bueno,
is
no está
ever so
mal.
slightly larger than the resin one. So we brought a Leviathan
Do you
Dreadnought.
remember when you
Y
saw a
el
Leviathan for the
libro
first
lo
time
que
and
dicen
thought,
es
"You're
que
never
el
gonna
Nothing,
be
nuevo
able to
nothing
do
could
core
ever be
Yeah,
cooler than a
absolutely.
Leviathan
Es una
Dreadnought.
edición
And he's still pretty cool. I love
revisada
him.
del
absolutely.
antiguo.
But
Es un 1.5.
the Telemon Dreadnought
no es un
stands a good
2.0.
head above the
¿Sabes? Con
even the
todas las
Leviathan.
fajas
With
antiguas. Así
last
que
summer's release,
no
lots of
volváis
people may
locos.
have
Esto no es un
got their hands
2.0
on a Saturnine
con
Dreadnought,
nuevo.
and here you can see there's some similarity
Es una,
between these
hombre,
two in terms of the shape
había
of
que
the
escuchar
shoulder
tiene toda la
pads.
razón. Es una
The
preview
Telemon is a little
bastante
taller.
petada.
The
Hay muchísimas cosas.
Saturnine is a little bit broader.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one definitely is got more mass to it. Like the weight of it looks heavy, but the
¿Cuándo la
Telemon
solo
stands
centra en
ever so
hechos
slightly
Sigmar?
taller, which might just mean that the Custodies didn't
Pues
want
es
to
que
ever look
aquí
at
ha
the
habido
Space
de
Marine.
todos los
That's probably
juegos.
what it is.
Esto es
Why not?
Elegiadores,
I
esto no
like
es
it.
40K.
So all of
Hemos
these
tenido hechos
models
Sigmar,
that we've
hemos
talked about,
tenido
so
hechos Sigmar,
the
pues todo,
Gerfalcon
hemos
Jet
tenido
Bike,
Blood Bowl.
the Palace Gravatac, and the
Tampoco
Telemon
nos
Dreadnought
pongamos
will be
aquello.
available in plastic for the first time as part of this box set, and then available separately later down the line.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can use them, definitely use them for both Warhammer
Así que
40,000
bueno.
and
Vamos a
Warhammer
cerrar el
You
evento,
absolutely
tiene
can.
toda la
One of the
pinta.
new detachments for
Bueno,
the Custodies
dicen
in
que
Warhammer
han dicho al
40,000 has
principio
some
que iban a
specific
dejar algo
upgrades
de
for
una
Telemon
especie de
Dreadnoughts
sneak
as well.
preview de
So
40K al
there is.
Great,
principio.
nice. So
Me
that's
huelo
not
un
everything
mini
for
vídeo
the
de
Age of
cerrar
Darkness, and we
para
also have
40K.
a new General Tactica on the way.
Con
This
siluetas y
is General
cositas
Tactica
así.
Prospero Burns, The Judgment of
Muy
Valdor,
rápido,
and this
ni
deals
siquiera lo
with the
comentarán,
actions of
pero
Constantine
huelo a
Valdor and the
que
Legio
Hecho Sigmar
Custodes
cierra esta vez
during
el
the burning
evento.
of Prospero when they joined forces with the
Un
Space
trailer
Wolves
rápido
to
de
bring
Cazadilla, anda que no
judgment
sueñas
to
tú
Magnus
también.
and his errant sons.
Yeah, we know quite a lot about the burning of Prospero. We've seen it from the Thousand Suns
Decías
perspective. We've
40K
seen it
con
from the
otro
Space
nombre.
Wolves
No, no es
perspective.
40K,
We
es
know
otra
that the
cosa.
Custodies were
Lo
there,
deberías de
but
saber,
we haven't
Sigmar.
really heard much about what the Custodies were up to. And this explores that. You kind of find out what they were doing while the two legions were taking chunks out of each other. One of the things that's quite cool about it is that the Custodies obviously on one side. On the other side, there are some Thousand Suns, but the main antagonist
Esto
really
es el
for them is a
40K más
demonic
adelante,
foe.
dice
Yeah,
el ejecutor.
absolutely.
Bueno,
For the
puede
first
ser.
time, this presents for this edition a full army list for the Demons of Siege, including new psychic disciplines. So
Mira,
you
cosas
can
de
start
demonios de
using,
Zench en Elegiadores,
warp
Andrés,
denizens
demonios
of
que
the
tanto te
patron
gustan
who
en
is
40K.
presiding over the ruin of the Thousand Suns.
Okay.
I see.
Or salvation, possibly.
No,
as they say.
No,
absolutely.
soy
They
entendido
haven't
lo de
come
los
in.
demonios de
Yeah.
Zench porque
There's
no
even
estoy
more stuff in there
haciendo
than we've
nada
talked about
de
here.
esto.
There's
Vamos,
some new
tampoco me
rules
pedís.
for the Solar Auxilia.
Eso ni que
There's
ha
a whole
dicho.
bunch of stuff. This is a
Era
packed
para meterle una
General
pullita,
Tactica,
Andrés.
which really shines a light on an area of the Horus Heresy we've not looked at before. So it's quite
Yeah,
exciting.
and that's the best kind of Horus Heresy games. Ones where you're going back to those iconic moments in the lore and refighting it. Like, what if it was a little bit different? What if we had a slightly different sort of
Venga,
tactics
callaos ya
different?
un poquito.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recreating those
Esta vez
amazing
no
stories
tienen
is what
al
it's all about.
pipiolo que
So,
les lee el
sticking with
chat.
the Age of Darkness, but going a bit smaller as we
¿Has
look
quitado
at some
ese concepto
Legions
ya?
Or
Imperialis.
possibly bigger.
But yes, bigger and smaller at the same time.
Ah.
We have three models we're going to talk about now. These are models for the Titan Legions. This is the Warlord Battle Titan with Quake
Pero ya
Cannon and Conversion Beam
tenían caballeros
extirpator to
imperiales
extirpate
o
means
esto es
to
que han
destroy
cogido y
utterly.
han
And
pillado
that is what
los
the
de
weapon
40K y
loadout
les
on
van a
this
sacar cosas
Warlord
especiales
Titan will
para
do.
meterlos en energía?
As you see this video
Ah,
playing
no, que esto
before,
es
you can
Legends
see what
Imperial
the
y
different
leches,
weapons are.
joder.
There's a whole bunch, and they
Debería
have
leer un
really
poquito
long and
más.
it's difficult to say
Pues
live
estuve a
on
punto
air
de poner
names, such
titanes,
as
pero es
But you
que
should still try
me
it,
puede lo de
Extirpator.
Rogaldorn y ya lo pongo en
So
Legends Imperial y
this
en
is a
energía.
kit which will come packaged all together, so you get the Warlord Titan and all of these weapons. It includes some extra bits and pieces, so there's
Es que yo también, es que yo pensaba que era de Ogors, es que no sé, me he vuelto loco. Pero luego he visto ahí abajo el logo abajo a la izquierda y digo, ay no, coño, que es Legends Imperial. Nada. Es un titán. Bueno, un titán,
Cool.
un caballero imperial.
This is
perdón.
one of three things we're going to talk about. The next
Bueno,
one
no,
is
ahí
the
pone
Warlord
titán,
Battle
Battle
Titan with
Titan.
Volkite Destructor
Caballero
and
imperial.
Macro Gatling Blaster. Again, not a thing to say
Un
too
titán.
quickly on a Friday night. Here is another towering God
Y
engine.
Necromunda.
Titan Legions.
Tienes que poner Necromunda para
a whole
Andrés.
bunch of different
Tienes que
weapons,
decirlo
which
también.
you can see playing out on your screen. They include the Graviton Ruinator, which you can see here. It's the biggest Graviton gun I've ever seen.
Bueno, claro, que cuando han dicho más adelante que volveremos a 40k, se podrían recibir perfectamente también aquí.
It also includes a wall of Titan heads and those cards I mentioned before if you wanted to play Adeptus Titanicus.
But Adam, what if I had a slightly smaller Titan but still wanted loads of massive guns?
And complicated names, then you are going to be fine, because this is the Titan Legions Reaver Titan with Graviton Obliterator and Volkite Annihilator. A mid-sized Titan that packs an incredible punch with weapons such as the aforementioned Graviton Obliterator, the Volkite Annihilator. It also has a Vulcan Mega Bolter option for its carapace, and you just saw it there. My favourite, possibly, of all the names that we've had this evening.
Me parece correcto. Yo optaría por eso, pero que no te sorprenda que sea Necromunda hecho Sigmar.
And the cards you would need to play in Adeptus Titanicus. And you can get the weapon separately should you desire no more Titans. What's wrong with you? There we go. Pretty exciting should you play Little Heresy.
Absolutely.
There we go.
A ver,
I need to
venga.
take a breather. Now might be the time
Cambia.
to talk a little bit about something coming to Warhammer Plus very soon.
Warhammer
There is a
Plus.
new
Venga,
animation.
vete a cagar,
The Butcher's
Adam.
Nails.
Leches. Hombre, si me hablasen de Astartes, todavía vale, pero... A ver, Berserker. Pues nada, una serie de un Berserker.
That looks a bit good, Eddie. What can you tell us about Butcher's Nails?
Yeah, this is a new animation coming to Warhammer TV for Warhammer Plus subscribers. It is a one-off standalone episode.
Sí, que se está quedando corta la preview.
And effectively, it tells the story of a Khorne Berserker who is part of a chaos assault on an Imperial stronghold. As you would imagine for a World Eater story, it is incredibly violent. It is by some margin the bloodiest and most violent piece of Warhammer animation we have yet featured on Warhammer TV. And it is pretty much non-stop carnage from the moment that shots open to the final battles.
Fantastic. Here you can see a shot that we saw, something like this in the trailer. This looks like the head-up display inside the helmet of the World Eater.
Yeah, so not all of it, but some of the animation is shown from the literal perspective of the World Eater, who is obviously a little bit unhinged. The Butcher's nails are starting to bite. If he doesn't get continuous kills, he starts to go kind of slowly insane. And he basically is chopping his way through as many enemies as he can find, partly to try and achieve victory, but mostly just to try and make the whining of the nails cease even for the briefest of moments.
Fantastic. And we got a sense of who is fighting, but what's the battle between who's,
I mean, he almost really, he doesn't really mind what the battle is, really. Khorne doesn't care as long as the blood flows. There are definitely some Astra Militarum, some guardsmen, some unfortunate guardsmen. There are some Space Marines of the Imperial Fist. There's some other Chaos Space Marines in the mix.
Who I'm sure
as well. They'll get on fine, I'm sure. You know, it's not like they're known for betrayal or anything. It's all good. But yes, it's going to be a non-stop
ejecutor que va por delante.
It's a really
que toca hecho Sigmar.
Perfect. And coming out fairly soon.
It comes out in August.
Awesome. That's very exciting. So, from the Butcher's Nails and Warhammer Plus, let's go to the Mortal Realms for something more.
Pero vamos con un vídeo. A ver, mira, un calderito. Oy. El tirano. Uy, esto está muy estirado para Andrés, Oh, estos están bien, Mira, los Iron Guts no molan mucho más. Pero 1.000.000 de veces más. 1.000.000 de veces más. Le dan 1000 vueltas a los ogros antiguos. Muchísimo más. Estas minis. Ay, los crudos, todos. Pero vamos, es que 1.000.000 de veces más. Cajote. Bueno, cuidado, bicho tocho.
That was
Mira
very
que nos
exciting
dejan
to
con un
see such
teaser, vete
a
a
large amount
cagar.
of models coming soon to the mortal realms with these new Ogre tribes. Eddie, where do we even start?
I am super excited about this release. This is an enormous range refresh for the Ogre tribes. There's so much to talk about. I think let's start with the army set, which is coming out. This is the first place you'll get a chance to get your
Vale,
hands
army
on
set
some
con
of the new
todo
miniatures.
esto.
This is an enormous army launch set, a little bit like what we've
Está
seen
muy
with some
bien.
of the armies
Yeah,
recently.
like the Hellsmiths and so on.
Exactly like the Hellsmith, same sort of concept. You get a cool version of the battle tome and the first chance to get hold of a bunch of the miniatures. Let's have a quick chat about some of the stuff
Y
in
les
this
dan
set.
un millón de
So first out the
vueltas
gate
a
should
los
be
ogros
sort of the
antiguos.
mainstay
Me da
unit
igual
for the
el que
Ogre
quiera
tribes. These are the
contarme aquí la
gluttons,
película
the sort
de,
of replacement
de
or
la
refresh
personalidad
of what
X o lo que
in
sea,
old
¿vale?
days
Pero
might
les
have
dan
called Ogre
un millón
bulls,
de
and
vueltas, ¿eh?
boy, do they look good.
Yeah, the Ogre
Muchísimo,
Bulls are
muchísimo
still
mejor.
really cool models. Like,
Yeah,
but they
absolutely.
are they've been around for a while now. They're more than 20 years
You
old.
shocked me with
Yeah,
that
I'm
when I
sorry about
realised
that,
how old
Adam.
I was. Yeah.
So they are well and truly deserving of a refresh. This is a really cool update for
Voy a
them.
escribir a
They
un
still
colega.
keep the kind of general aesthetic of the Ogre Bulls, but they're much more dynamic. They're a little bit bigger. The armor plates are much more impressive.
I really like the shape of the helmets. They look like they're designed to deflect sort of downward
Yeah,
blows
and
away
if
from
you
the
remember, like
shoulders as well.
the first time those models came out, they were designed for Warhammer Fantasy, where they'd have to rank up. So actually, the poses were quite sort of
Yeah,
limiting on a
they're very
lot of the
dynamic
miniatures.
here, aren't they?
These are much like cooler, more impressive poses. Even things like having those arms out, they just look really great. The detail on them is obviously 20 years on from the last time we saw the Ogre Bulls. So these are really, really cool miniatures. You get 10 of these in that launch box. This is only the
Está
most
muy
basic
bien,
of the
¿eh?
Ogre
Está muy
tribes
bien,
units.
mucho mejor,
Let's move
pero
on
está
to, I think,
muchísimo
might be
mejor que
one of my
los ogros
favorites.
Yeah, so
antiguos.
mine too. I think the Iron Guts have always looked really cool, and these are even cooler
Pero
if possible. The
muchísimo
Iron
mejor,
Guts
¿eh?
are an elite ogre unit. They carry enormous weapons, and they wear more armor. So you can see those
Están
armor plates on the
guapísimos.
arms going all the way up to the shoulders. Their helmets are a little bit fancier, and they've got these massive two-handed weapons.
They look like they mean absolute business,
Yeah,
right?
no
like
kidding.
the size
Mira,
of those
ese con
weapons,
el-
and
con
again,
la
much
aguja
more
esa,
dynamic.
con
But those
todo.
blades are
No,
about
no,
twice the
está
size of a
genial. Y los
mortal
cascos
human,
esos
right? So they're
así,
going to make an absolute mess. They already are an excellent unit
molones,
in Warhammer
porque siguen
Age
con
of
la
Sigmar.
estética esa un poquito
They're still an excellent unit, and now
de
the miniatures are even
Mongolia,
better.
¿no? Un
Yeah,
poco,
absolutely.
¿no?
To
Esos
keep this
cascos
rabble
así de
in
ese
line,
estilo
you
son
need
un
an
poco
Ogre
de
Tyrant. So
esa parte
this
de
one is a
Asia, ¿no?
multi-part
Así que
kit.
bueno.
It enables you
Esto
to
es lo que
build
menos
him
me
in a
gusta,
couple
la
of ways.
cabeza del tirano.
Essentially, a really powerful, heavy-hitting ogre
Es
character.
lo que menos me gusta. Espero
You
que
can see
haya
a
una
couple of the
opción
options.
de
I
otra
love this
cabeza.
one with the fur
No,
cloak.
esta
It
es
sort
otra
of fits
opción de cabeza
into
y tampoco me apasiona
the
mucho.
more sort of
Esta no me
huntery
gusta.
style thing you can do with an ogre army, where you want to focus more on the beast if you want to, or you
Ponme
can
el
go
otro.
full gutbuster with this
Cambia.
one, whichever you prefer, really.
Cambia
Yeah,
y
if you've
ponme el
got a
otro.
kind of Beastclaw Raider
Yeah,
vibe.
absolutely.
And I think you can obviously have a mix of them as well, but you've got a lot of different ways to kind of
Cambia
lean
y
into
ponme al
different
otro,
ogre
la
armies.
otra,
And it's
el
just
otro
nice to have a
modelo, el
multi-part character,
otra
right, where you can
versión.
immediately
Esta,
start
pero
to make
pónmelo
your
de
own. One of
frente,
the big
quizás esté
things
mejor.
about ogres for their entire history is the idea
Parece
of like
más
big names,
Beastclaw
right?
la
They
otra
carry that
opción,
through
¿eh?
into
Ojo.
this battle tome as
Pero me
well,
gusta más.
where the leader of your force is making literally making a name for himself by achieving various feats. So being able to kind of have the pelts of the things he's defeated on him absolutely makes sense.
La otra opción parece más
Those units
Beastclaw
we've all seen before in
por
different
las
ways.
pieles
The
y
next
tal,
unit is
pero
effectively
¿qué
a
es eso?
new type. These are the
Y los
Maul
Maul
Beast
Beast
Cavalry
Raiders
and the
molan,
Maul
oh,
Beast
estos
Raiders.
bichos
This is a
molan.
two-for kit, so you can make
Mira
two
ahí,
different
con el
units.
bichito.
They function in a similar way. Both of them are cavalry units. The Maul Beast Raiders are your kind of fast-moving scout unit. The Maul Beast Cavalry are your hard-hitting shock cavalry. They're a little bit more armored. The guy in the back has more weapons, whereas the Maul Beast Raiders have some ranged
Mira,
attacks.
pues,
Yeah.
y al
These
menos hay un par de
effectively
versiones
replace the
para que no se
Mournfang
repita
cavalry
tanto, ¿no? Por
in
lo que
your
parece.
ogre list. They fulfill a similar sort of role in the army.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about just how tough they are and how hard they hit in a little while.
La verdad
so
es
these
que
are all
eso
the
que
models that come
dice
inside that
Ejecutor es
new
bastante
Ogre army set.
cierto.
Obviously, you need the battle tome and the war scroll cards as well. This is the
Este es
battle
el libro
tome
que
that
vendrá
comes
con
for
la
the Ogre
caja.
More tribes inside that set. It's got this lovely sort of finish to it. You can see the tyrant
Me
on the front.
choca que las
Obviously,
letras sean
there'll be
así
standard
cuadradas y
editions
tal,
of the
pero
battle
bueno,
tome out in
está
due time,
bien.
and you'll be able to get the models separately. But if you want first in on the new ogres, this is the way. It wasn't all we saw in that awesome video, though. Do you want to show the box?
Yeah,
It's
I've
pretty
got
cool.
the box
Enseña
right
la
here. So
box,
this is
la
the box.
caja.
It's really
Gracias.
lovely. That is all
Esa
the stuff
caja
you
no
get in there.
tiene
So just
nada,
to
no
confirm, you get
pesa.
10 of those gluttons. You get the tyrant. You get 2 of the cavalry, and you get that big unit. Of
Andrés le va a
Iron
dar
Guts,
algo,
and
está
then you
muy
get your
nervioso.
battle tome in there. as well. It's
Pobrecito
a
Andrés.
really lovely set.
Fantastic. Right. So,
Pero a mí
what
ese
else is there
preview
to talk
no.
about? Well, I guess we saw some things which fit in a different sort of part of the ogre army
Al
with
Butcher,
the sort
joder,
of more
el
seekers
carnicero
component,
mola,
right?
¿eh?
Yeah, so one of the bits of the ogre
carnicero
force
mola.
is the kind of tyrant and the iron guts and things like that. But another fairly major part of ogre society are the more seekers, the butchers, and the things that follow in the butcher's wake. The butcher
Mola.
again is a model that's been out for a very long
Está
time,
guay.
well worth an update. This model is a phenomenally cool
He's
upgrade.
also deeply disturbing.
Yeah, you've I think you've got some strong feelings
Ay,
on
como
exactly
trato al
how
caldero,
unpleasant
tal,
this
tal.
particular model.
Really
The model's
unsettling.
great, but he's definitely a bit grim, isn't
and
he?
the longer you look, the more disturbing it gets. The way he's holding the corpse in his hand, the
El
gore
guante súper
sloshing around his
ensangrado que le
cauldron,
cae la
and all this for what
sangre,
is
bueno, la
essentially
tiene la
a
sangre por
really
la
beefy
manita,
ogre
tal,
wizard.
eso está
Yeah,
bien.
butchers are sort of part wizard, part chef,
Está muy
part
bien, ¿eh?
shaman, part mystic to the ogres. They're really important to ogre society.
Parte
Ogre society basically is
místico,
all
bueno,
about
parte chamán,
eating.
parte
All
tal.
ogres at their
Bueno,
core
habrá que
have
ver.
this
Yo
kind
esto
of
me lo veré para el
unending
domingo,
hunger, which they
traeros
interpret
toda la
as the will
información
of the
más o
god
menos.
Mor, who may or may not be part of the great
Más o menos
pantheon of
puesto.
Gorkamor,
Cero
depending on which
pólvoras.
ogre you
Más
speak
o menos
to.
lo que decía
Butchers
Yabul,
try
¿no?
to
Hace
tap
tiempo.
into that
Los
arcane
rumores
power, that kind
decían
of
que
godly
cero
power,
pólvora.
and manifest it as various different spells. A lot of their magic is to do with consuming something and then manifesting that into
Solo
magic in
espero
some way,
que
shape, or
ese
form.
preview que me han
There
puesto
are
la
more
miniatura
devotees
tocha
of
no
the
se acabe
gulping
ahí.
god coming. This
Los
is one of
cleavers
those kits.
molan.
These are the ogre cleavers,
Los
and
cleavers
they are
molan mucho.
kind
Es
of
que esta
like
estética-
butchers in training, right?
Yeah,
que
these
¿a
are
qué me
fanatics
recuerdan?
of ogre society who follow in the wake of the butchers. They do a range of
Que me
different things.
recuerdan
After
a
a
un
battle, they'll
personaje
collect up all the various
de
body parts and offal and
de un
bits of enemies to throw
juego
into the
de-
cauldron for the
There are
butcher.
some wrong
They
uns.
are kind of fanatically driven
O de un-
disciples of the
o
butchers
de
and
un
of the
manga.
god Mor.
The combination of the miniatures design team and the
y
heavy metal
me
painting
gusta.
team have really just worked up a horror with
A
these.
remendejo.
Yeah, I mean, Blood
Tiene
Blood
una
God
pinta un
is
poquito de
absolutely
remendejo,
crying out for
pero
gore,
remendejo
gore
no
up to the
tanto,
elbows,
porque
cauldrons
remendejo era
full
muy
of
zombie,
offal.
claro.
These
Era...
are incredible.
Tiene
They're
algo
not
de
the only
remendejo.
things
Sí
within
que es
this
cierto
more
que tiene algo de
seeker
remendejo, pero no es,
collective.
es el
That
tema de
kit
la
also
papada y
makes
tal y
another
cual.
option,
Me
so you
recuerda
can
más
either
a
make
otro
the
personaje, no sé a
cleavers that you
quién,
saw there,
pero...
or you can make these, which are the gutseers.
Yeah, Gutseers are even more horrible and sinister than the
Los
butchers, if you can
Gutseers
imagine that.
están
These have
muy
tapped
molones.
into the power of Mor, and the way that they work in game is that your wizards become more powerful and can effectively
Estos
cast
son nuevos,
things,
¿no? Los
spells
Gutseers,
through these guys
este perfil no
when
existía.
they're nearby.
Están
The thing that I
los
really
Iron
like about them
Guts,
from a
pero
miniature
no
perspective is
los
those gut
Gutseers.
plates. If you look at the gut plates on something like the Iron Guts, they have just armored guts, whereas
You know,
these
they look like teeth, maybe. But
yeah,
these
these
have got,
guts look like intestines or offal or
and they're kind
guts.
of rendered in
Mola,
really like
mola.
arcane parody. It's
I
something
love
very
it. I
Esta
think it's
parte
really
nueva,
they look
los
like they'd be
Gutseers
loads
son
of fun to
nuevos.
paint.
Yep.
Porque
And
no,
then,
no es
of
un
course,
perfil.
at the center of all of this is
Red
Red the
Maul.
Maul. This is the High Slaughtermaster, sort of like the head of this cult of the gulping god. Eddie, what can you tell us about Red?
This is a brand new character for the Ogre Mor tribes. This is one of the most powerful characters in your Ogre army. One of the most powerful characters in all of Age of Sigmar. Goes
Uno
to
de los
battle on this
personajes más
enormous kind
poderosos.
of
Esto ya
cauldron
sabemos que lo
construct
dicen
that's
todo el
pulled into
rato,
battle by
pero
a
bueno.
Gorger. Gorgers are the other part of that kind of Mor Seeker
Mientras los
grouping.
otros están
So Mor Seekers
comiendo.
covers your butchers, your Gorgers, and all the kind of various fanatics that follow in their wake. You've got this enormous cauldron, which I assume is where the enemy army goes after the battle. They get thrown in there. And this is both an incredible miniature, but also an incredibly powerful piece for your Age of Sigmar armies. We'll have a little look at some of the rules around it later.
Eso es
And
peana
in
gorda,
lore
hombre.
terms,
Tiene
this
pinta de
is
ser
the high
peana.
prophet, the high priest of the gulping god. So ogres from across the
40,
realms flock to
40.
Red the Mor to hear what they've got to say.
I love the fact it's been pulled.
Una
into battle by
120
Gorge as well. That's
fácilmente.
just really cool. So all of these models are coming
Eso es una
in
120
the not too distant
fácilmente.
future for the Ogre Mor tribes.
Yep.
Obviously, we need a battle tone to
Sí,
learn all about it.
este
And so
es
there'll
el
be
battle tone
the
normal,
standard
está
edition
guay.
on the left or the gamers
Obviamente
edition on the right. To let
el
you
de la
get
versión de la
to
caja
start
está
playing your
mejor.
games.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a huge and sizable
Pero bueno.
update of things for the Ogre Mor tribes. We've shown you almost all of the new models
But not
for the
all.
ogres. There's a couple more things on the way. The other thing that's worth saying is a couple of the existing units do stick around as well. So particularly some of the big Beastclaw Raider monsters. So if you've got some things like Stonehorns and stuff in your army, you can still absolutely use those, and they
Vale,
work
dicen
really
que se
nicely
quedan
alongside
lo que ya
that.
sabíamos más o menos, los
Tyrant,
Beastclaw,
which we have one on
y
the
que
table
tienen
here,
más cositas
done
por
up
enseñar,
as
más o
a
menos ya nos han
yeah,
dicho.
you've got the kind of
Doing that
Beastclaw vibe.
Mira, no
There,
ese es el
turn around so you
tirano
can see the kind of pelt on his back.
con lo que yo decía, estilo Beastclaw.
Fantastic. Should we have a little bit of a look at some of
Que
the
la
rules
verdad
Yeah,
es
let's
que
do
me
it.
loco.
what you'll find inside the battle tome. So
Ah,
these are
mira,
the
faction
faction
rules.
battle
Bueno,
fights for the
encima
ogres. What can
tenemos
you
la
tell us,
faction
Eddie?
rules.
Yeah, so we're not going to go
Joder.
through the entirety because
Vamos a ver qué hace.
screen
there,
grab,
Ítem
but
al
yeah,
lado.
if you're an ogre player or you
Al
want to know
final
you're going to
del
be up against an Age of Sigmar,
turno
take a screen
eliges
grab
una
now.
unidad ogro
Fundamentally,
que
they've
usa
got
una
two
habilidad
big
de
army special
luchar,
rules. The first of the army rules
una
is
unidad
if you
excluyendo
are in
elementos de
combat with an enemy unit
escenografía
at the end of the turn,
para
or
que
you've defeated
usen
an
esta
enemy unit in
habilidad,
combat, so
¿no? Entonces
basically,
elegís
you
una
can just
unidad
take
enemiga que
have
esté en
some lunch, you can
combate.
take
La
a
misma
chunk
unidad
out of
no
the
puede
enemy
ser
unit you're
elegida como objetivo de
fighting,
una habilidad más de
and
una
you
vez
can
por
get a
turno.
bunch of different rules.
Efecto,
So
le
this
haces un
encourages your
de 3
ogre army to
heridas
just get stuck
mortales
in.
y
If
eliges
they're in the middle
uno
of
de
the
los
enemy army,
siguientes
they can
efectos
start
a
getting bonuses.
aplicar
There's some
a la
really strong
unidad
stuff in there. You've
ogro.
got stuff like run and charge. You
Que
can make the unit
obtenemos
harder to kill,
-1
make
al
them hit harder.
REN
You can mess with
para
enemy wizards,
ataques
all
que
sorts of
tengan
stuff.
contra esa unidad.
Fantastic. Go on.
And then you've
Durante
got
el
the
resto de
other
la
special
batalla,
rule in
-1
there,
al REN
which
durante
is
el resto de la
basically
batalla,
like a special thing where when you
-1
charge
que
into
tienen
an enemy
-1 a
unit,
las tiradas de
you can
salvaguarda.
basically say, would you like to stay where you
Cuando
are and take the
atacan
ogre's charge, in which case you take a bunch of mortal wounds, or you
con
can say, well, I'll
armas
give you the
no
opportunity to move
companion,
backwards if you like,
más
in
2
which
al
case your
control
opponent
score,
immediately cedes ground to your ogre.
críticos
So it's
2
really good
impactos,
for shifting units off objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting hit by that wall.
pueden
of iron,
cargar y
that's a lot of
correr
jerk. Obviously, the
y quitar
war
1 de
scores have
poder
been
enemigo.
looked at as well. So these are the
Y
more
oye,
beast cavalry that
y
we showed
pues
you before. They
niveles, a
come in
ver,
the army set.
ataques
I talked
de
about how
4
just
2
devastatingly
2
powerful they are.
3, que
The
está muy
gut bite
bien, y la
weapons do damage
bestia,
3, the
más 1 al
more
daño,
beasts
4 2
do
ren
damage
1,
2, 3
daño
on the
2 con
charge.
carga más
These
1 al
hit you
daño,
like a
está bien.
landslide. So
Unos
many
enemigos
attacks,
no
incredibly
cargan, no
dangerous.
cuenta
I
como
think
en
this is a
carga
really
cuando está
powerful
en
unit.
combate con este bicho.
If you're familiar
¡Ole!
with the way that ogres work
Esto va a
today,
doler
you'll
muchísimo.
know how Mournfang cavalry work. You'll be familiar with the
Y en
stats.
fase de
A lot of the
combate,
stats are fairly
si esta
similar to
unidad está
Mournfang's, but
cargado,
across the board, wherever
eliges
there's a change, it
una
tends
unidad
to be a
enemiga en
bit
combate,
better.
a
For
3
the
más,
Morbis
le
cavalry,
quitas 1
they
a las
are
tiradas
really
para herir.
tough units to deal with because they're excellent on the charge,
Cuidado,
so bonuses to charge, but they're also excellent when being charged, so they're a really hard unit to kind of solve for your enemy. I think just a couple of these on the flanks would do great, or even investing on a big double-sized unit and slamming it into the middle of the enemy army could be very powerful.
Yeah, and you can see some of the special rules and things that are going on there, but I love the Ravenous counterattack rule. That means that you can be quite daring with them as a sort of like scouting units in your force. Brilliant. We talked a little bit about Read the More. Here is rules. There is a lot to take in.
Yeah, this is one of the kind of big
Wow,
big name
Red Mouse, es que nos están enseñando
of the ogres
todo.
as well. We're not
Esto
going to
es que
go
la
through
salida,
everything
bueno,
on the sheet.
es que
Feel
la
free to
caja
take
va
a
a ser en
screenshot and peruse at
julio.
your leisure.
Es que
The things to call out
prácticamente,
are this is
el
an
1 de
incredibly
agosto.
durable character. 18 wounds, a 4-up save, and a ward save means that you've got to throw
a lot,
you've got to throw a lot of stuff at this guy before he goes
Vale,
down.
¿qué dice?
A level
Bueno,
2
los
wizard,
ataques
that's
más o
always going to be
menos,
useful. The
18
thing
de
to
vida,
really shout out
conservaciones
is
a
the
4
command
y guarda
ability,
de 5,
where
va a estar
effectively you
complicado
can pick an ogre
tumbarlo.
unit nearby,
La
and that
pasiva,
unit can
mientras
benefit
estén
from
completamente a
as
8
if it was in
pulgadas,
combat with an enemy
los
unit. So
no
all of those big
Mouse
list of buffs that
tienen
you've got
salvaguarda
in your
de
army special
6
rules,
y
you
los
can just
Mouse
give those out to units
salvaguarda de
nearby for a
5.
command
Los
point.
Mouse
You can do some great
serán
stuff
los
with that. You've
nuevos,
got one
¿vale?
in
Para que
there
nos
which is
hagamos
run and
idea.
charge. So right from the off, you can be like, I
Luego tiene
really
una
want one of my
habilidad
units
con
in
un punto de
combat for the first turn. You
mando
can just
que
do
elige
it.
una unidad
You've also
amiga
got an
no
ability that
héroe
gives
Mouse
ward saves
Drives
to
a 12
loads of nearby
pulgadas
units. So this
y
is
puedes
just an
utilizar la
absolutely
de la
really
habilidad de
useful
alianza
linchpin
directamente.
unit for the middle of your army.
Fantastic. So that's a lot of great stuff coming all on
Nada,
the
la
way
comparativa
for
ya está.
more realms with the Ogre More tribes and this
Luego a la
incredible
noche
range
me
refresh.
intento
We've
poner.
got some close-ups
Should
here.
we have a look?
Just a sense of how big they are. I don't know if we've got a human
Porque
for
ya te
scale,
digo
just
que
a
eso
wonder.
va a ser
Maybe the 18
120.
when we weren't looking.
So here you've got Read the More
Porque
in the middle.
estos
You
son
can see
40
the size
más o
of
menos y
him.
esto
He's really an
40.
absolute beefcake. And this
120.
enormous cauldron that he's got that's just full of offal. He's got
Más
a
o
big
menos debería ser de
spoon for staying around the
120.
cauldron. Here on the side, you can see the Ogre Butcher. He's really quite an impressive model in his own right. And again, this huge cauldron. If I spin him around, you can see just how detailed these models really are.
Y
Just,
ahí está el
seem to
carnicero
hold
también.
loads of things going on the back. Sort of, he's got these animal horns and things, so they look like
que
they're
tiene
carrying trophies and things
ahí
all around. Just really
una
great.
cosilla en atrás, un
It's an
pincho.
incredible looking kit.
Yeah.
I think the
you get a
miniatures
sense
team
of the
have.
size of him because that's a human, right? That he's holding on the butcher.
Yeah, no
there,
kidding.
So,
He's got half a person.
yeah, got half a person there.
La mitad de un
That's pretty
torso que
gross.
está también.
So anyway, these have disturbed me for long enough. I'm really excited to see them come out. I think they're going to make quite a wave within the Mortal Realms. We are still not done yet. There is still more.
No,
awesome
pero
stuff to talk
enséñame
about in
lo
this
que
big
me has
summer
dejado el
preview.
teaser.
Next, we're going down to the Underhive.
Pues nada, Necromunda, venga, Andrés. Que son Esker contra... No, son Banzar. Has acertado parte contra Goliath. Ah, no, ahí están las Esker, Juan. Claro. Lo Esker. Y estos son Goliath. Vale, nueva caja. Que es más o menos pues lo que ya decíamos, que iban a ser
Welcome
hechos
back
contra,
and welcome
contra
to the
Goliath.
Underhive with a new
No,
edition
no eran,
of
no eran
Necromunda
Bansar, Andrés.
Skirmish.
Oh,
This is very exciting. I'm a
pobrecito.
big fan of Necromunda. I've played it since I was a 16-year-old boy, and it's great to see it a new edition
Un
come.
colega
This
mío
is essentially an
hace
edition reset for Necromunda.
Etcher, así que
And
se
this
lo voy a
core
decir.
set here that you can see here, this 2-player battle box, is the perfect way to get into it. If you're an existing Necromunda player, we'll talk about some of the other ways too. Here you can see it on the screen. It pitches the Orlok. Sorry, crikey, you can see me going to my favourite gang just automatically. It pitched the Goliaths against the Escher in a classic house matchup. Let's have a look at some of the kits that come with it. We've got a box here which we can use as a prop, but we've got some great images to show on the screen. It contains 2 gangs within the box. The first of which are these. They are the Blades of the Matriarch. This is all new models. We've not released these ones before, and there's some fantastic options in there. At the back, for example, you can see a Huntress with auto pistols and multi-harness. On the right-hand side, you've got one which is a Blade Maiden with a shock whip. You've got the Chem Witch who's got the auto chem. It's that crazy looking flamer thing that you can see towards the back. Loads of fantastic options to really fill out an Escher gang. If you've already got an Escher gang, you'll probably want to add these to it. It gives you even more options and even more fantastic models. This is also a perfect starting point for an Escher gang in its own right. You could never have played a game of Necromunda, and these would be a wonderful jumping on point. They go head to head with the Goliaths. These are the forged smelters. Goliaths, a house of chains known for their sort of industrial power.
Yo no soy un
all
pro
of these
de
like
esto,
heavily
pero
muscled, stim-enhanced warriors carrying weapons.
yo a
Which is great to have an
Necromunda le
industrial
pido
feel. So you've
eso.
obviously got the heavy stubber at the back, but there's
No
loads
le
of other
pido
weapons
otra cosa.
that might be
Le
less
pido
familiar. For example, you've got the
3D.
Crumper Riveter Cannon
Alturas.
on the right-hand side. The Lady Goliath is holding that. You've also got things like the Servo Medicae that you can see on the Goliath at the front. You've got one with a Chem Slugger. There's loads of different things going on so that you can either add these to an existing Goliath force or just use these as your first ever Goliaths. I really like the Ignition Cannon that's on the left-hand side. 2 fantastic gangs. You also find inside the box absolutely everything you need to get started playing. So you have the gaming mat, the measurers, the dice, the templates, all the cards and bits and pieces. You have a full rule book. You also have some terrain to position your gang behind to start playing.
Estoy mirando a ver la imagen del carnicero, a ver
this
cómo...
is a
Joder, me han puesto
wonderful
una
way
imagen de
to
mierda.
kick off
Bueno,
Necromunda
tiraré
if you've
del
just
vídeo.
never
Ah,
played
me han puesto
before
una imagen
and
súper
kickstart
buena.
you into the new edition.
Me callo.
So,
Me han puesto una imagen
here you can
súper
see
buena
like a close-up on
para
some of
hacer
those
la
other things as
comparativa de
well.
tamaño.
There's really a lot to
No me
enjoy
lo
here
creo.
in these gangs. And if you look at the back of the box, you can see it all sort of laid out, sort of panning round,
Bueno,
just
aquí pues
full
hablando
to
un
the
poquito de
brim
la
of great
caja,
Necromunda stuff. There's more to come in this new edition than just this.
que
It's worth
habrá
saying
mucho
that
más, bla, bla, bla. Bueno, cajitas
Necromunda, the thing that makes it
para
so exciting is this
tener todas las bandas ahí
continuous war
puestas.
between the great gang houses. So there are 6 gang houses that you might be familiar with if you know Necromunda well. Essentially, you have the Orloks, the Vansars,
Pero bueno,
Cordor,
ahí
Dilac,
estaría.
Escher,
Con todo
and Goliath.
lo,
And you
no,
can see
más
them
o
all
menos, con
displayed
la
here.
banda
These are
original y con
Underhive
las
crew
expansiones
boxes.
que había
These contain models that you
un
might
poquito,
already
¿no?
know if
Menos
you're
la
familiar
parte
with
del
Necromunda,
exterior de cuando
presented
fueron
in a brilliant format that
a
lets you
Pues,
essentially make one purchase to start an entire Underhive crew of your own. I'm a big fan of Necromunda. I've played it for years and years. I've got a really big Orlok gang.
Otra vez que me he ido a esto y os lo quito, lo siento
essentially
mucho, que es
everything
que
you
me
need
pongo
for a
ahí
really
a...
fantastic Orlok
Tengo la otra
crew.
pestaña donde tengo el...
Things to talk about quickly while we're here. So obviously this box contains everything. If you just wanted the Necromunda rulebook, say you've got loads of Necromunda stuff and you don't want to buy a new the core box for some mad reason, then you can just buy the Necromunda rulebook. This is a large hardback book. It's just packed with lore and rules and all the good things that you would want to know about Necromunda. And it's been revised. They've made updates to the rules to sort of streamline things. Every role feels like it really matters. Games are very exciting. I'm really excited to sink my teeth into it. If you've got an existing gang and you want to know where you find the rules for that, there's 2 more publications coming along for you. These are Gangs of the Underhive, which deal with those 6 gang houses we talked about before, along with various hangers-on and hired guns. And you've got Gangs of the Outland, which deals with those gangs and sort of Necromunda denizens that operate outside of the normal sphere, things like the Ironhead Prospectors or the Ashwaste Nomads. And you'll find their rules along with the various hangers on
pues
in those books. So essentially, pick up the core rule book, pick up the gangs of the book that you need, and you are good to go with Necromunda Skirmish. There's still more. Really useful to have on the side of the table.
Dejan, bueno, para la campaña no, lo dejan para más adelante. Eso te lo sacan, Rubén, te lo sacan en un lunes.
And you've also got the scenario cards, which help organize
Suena
your
duro.
campaign and get your games
Suena mal.
flowing really
Pero es que
nicely.
te van a sacar eso en un
Also, if you
maldito
want to
lunes.
enhance your battlefield, get your game going, there's an enormous range of
¿Vale?
fantastic
Yo creo que
Necromunda
te lo
scenery
sacan,
and
pues yo
terrain.
qué sé, pues
The
el
Zone
próximo
Mortalis
lunes.
range is big and beautiful.
Y se
And there's, in
quedan
addition to it now, with these Factoria pipes,
ancho
you'll
que
find
va.
some Factoria pipes inside that core set. And there's even more if you buy this Factoria pipes
Pero bueno,
box
es lo que hay.
and breathe.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about Necromunda is when you start to see people like really lean into the scenery and they've got their Zone Mortalis bit and then they start building up.
Porque
and you
vamos,
get
me
the
parecería
pipes and walkways, and you
absurdo
can
por
have,
su
like,
parte
flights across the
coger,
gantries,
te
you can
saco
shoot
el
people down
libro
from higher
en
up,
agosto,
all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. My favorite games
la
in
casa en
Necromunda are always the
agosto
ones
y
that
el
play
libro
them
ya
multiple
por
levels
separado y
and you
todo
can
en
blast someone
septiembre
off a 12-inch
y la
height
campaña que
precipice and
empezará en
lots of
I
noviembre,
do like a bit of action
diciembre,
versus every now and again, though.
yes, I agree.
un nuevo
But
personaje
something,
de Ogors, me
like, I
There is
parecería.
something cool
I
about
remember
like
the
having a
first
little
time I
cross section of
saw,
a city.
Wonder.
I saw that for the first time and it just blew my
Venga,
mind.
como dice
If you've
Ejecutor
never
que va
played
por
Necromunda
delante,
before,
pues
this
toca
really is a
Quintilla.
perfect jumping on point. Necromunda is a really exciting game. Ask any Necromunda fan and they will like enthuse about it, how great it is. And if you are an existing Necromunda fan and you're looking for new challenges, this is really great
Ojo,
because the
Bull.
rules have been tweaked and streamlined and there's going to be new secrets to unlock.
Está hablando Bull, pues lo
And,
ponéis en el
it's going to be a
Discord,
good
A mí no me
time to
toques
be
las
fighting
narices.
battles in the Underhive. The narrative that's been unfolding for the past few years, the Aranthian succession, is kind of done with. And I'm really excited to see where the team responsible for Necromunda take it in this new era. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
And we are still
There's
not
more.
done. Yep,
Cool.
we are sticking around in the 41st millennium, but we're going to go to Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team with this.
A ver. La sombrita. Vale, que ahí están los extraditas. ¿Qué es? ¿Qué son los calianos? Estos son los
After
catachán.
years of searching,
¿Catachán contra extraditas?
we're closing in.
Porque tendría más lógico catachán contra extraditas.
Unseen for decades.
No, molan. Molan. Ah, contra orquetes. Que era lo otro que se rumoreaba. Solo 3, ¿eh? Solo 3. Dragon Knight y Dragon Master.
We are alive and well in this
Bueno,
year of
no está
2026,
mal.
and who would have had
Son muy bonitos,
Exodites
¿eh?
on their 2026
Voy a
Warhammer
meterme a
bingo card?
ver.
This is
¿Qué ha
a
dicho
super
Bull?
exciting box set.
Really, right?
This is awesome. So obviously, every time we have a new Kill Team box set, it's very exciting. This one, I think, it will be particularly interesting, not just for fans of Kill Team, but for fans of Warhammer 40,000. Exodites are one of those last untapped, awesome bits of Warhammer 40,000 lore. Whenever we get to kind of unveil a cool new corner of the,
Me parece
the
pues eso, que
millennium,
son 6
it's always very
exoditas
exciting. I think
montaditos
Exodite absolutely fall into that.
y
little
luego los
corner.
orquetes, ¿no?
If you don't know what an Exodite is,
Ah, no,
very
la caja son
briefly,
los
when
exoditas.
the Eldari Society was starting
La
to
caja son los
sort of,
exoditas.
way back before the fall, starting to fall into decadence.
Hombre, ya
and,
sabíamos que iba a haber
depravity,
más ogros.
The Exodites were like, no, thank you
Falta
very
la
much.
tía,
And they
que
left main
supuestamente
society and they
fue.
settled on places
Falta la tía
far
que
flung from the mainstay
decía
of the Eldar
el
Society
Azaco.
called Maiden
Maiden
Worlds.
Worlds, beautiful jungle planets full of rich flora
Vale,
and fauna,
sí,
and
sabemos
full
que
of all sorts of
faltan
weird,
bichos
wonderful
porque él lo
creatures.
dijo.
And then when Eldar Society was destroyed in the fall, the
Que
Exodites
había
were one of
un
the few remaining
personaje
bits that were
femenino
left.
super
Now in the
tocho, si no
41st
recuerdo
millennium,
mal,
they
que
have
supongo
these
que
pockets of
el
idyllic
que va montado en el
beautifulness
bicho
across
ese.
Warhammer 40,000. Obviously, this being Warhammer
Cosas así,
40,000, if
así
you've
que
got something lovely,
no está
everyone's
diciendo
gonna
nada
kind of
nuevo, la
invade
verdad.
it.
There's probably a war coming.
There's always
La
there's always
caja
a war
solo
coming.
es exodita.
So whenever their planets are invaded, they have to defend them with whatever tools they can find available, and the closest thing available is giant reptilian beasts that they can ride into battle.
Should we have a
Si
look at
están
some
en
of
their
plástico,
foes
sí,
with.
desde luego.
So,
Ya, ahora
here
como
we go.
casi
These
todo
are
va a ir
the
a plástico,
Exodite Dragon
pues
Masters.
es
Eddie, this is a
cierto
very
que...
unusual kill team, right?
Yeah, so this is a kill team first and foremost. It is really kind of weird, but really fun, unusual kill team. It is effectively 3 models and 2 little hangers
Este no
on,
me
so it's
emociona tanto,
immediately
el
very
bichillo.
elite. In
Este
terms
con el
of
casquete
how it
sí.
plays in kill team, it plays in a really interesting and unique and unusual way. All of your units have APL 4, which is wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
In kill team, so you can do all sorts of cool
Luego hay
maneuvers.
diferentes
They are very,
cabezas.
very fast, as you would imagine, faster than almost anything else in kill team. They can leap up across bits of terrain, so if you think that your sniper at the back of the battlefield is nice and safe,
Así que bueno, a ver qué
perched on
tal.
his ruin, think again, because a giant reptilian with an Eldari warrior in the back is racing towards you, ready to chop your head off. You have 3 very different kinds of characters in there.
cascos de qué? ¿De
Effectively,
los
you've got
bichos o
a
de
warrior
los Eldar?
archetype, a mage archetype, and a
Ejecutor.
sniper archetype, and they all do very different things things for your kill team.
Yeah, so here on the screen you can see the 3 different ones laid out. Essentially, you have the clan blade, which is the close combat one. You have the lay
Bueno, sí,
stalker, which
obviamente
is
te
the one
están
with the
diciendo
sniper
que un
rifle,
montaje
and
es
then you have
para
the
cuerpo a
stone
cuerpo y el
singer,
otro
which is the
montaje es para
exodite
pistol.
who focuses on using psychic powers.
Muy
And then
molón,
they
¿eh?
also have these little beasts that
Una
run
pena
around
que
with
solo
them.
hayamos
Those are
aceptado
called
dos esta parte.
Dracolites.
Yeah, and they look familiar to, if you know
El
kind
de
of
los
how
Zelda.
Eldar Craft
Claro,
World
los
work.
Zelda
There's a
está
little
guay,
bit of the
sí.
Autark to this one. There's a
Es
little bit of the
muy
Farseer to this
parecida
one.
a
There's a
cualquier
little bit
otro
of the
casco de Eldar,
kind
pero
of
sí.
Ranger. So they have a kind of common ancestry with the Eldar of the Craft Worlds, but they have gone off in a slightly different sort of cultural direction. And the biggest
está bien, mola,
difference
mola.
really is that they ride on the back of these cool reptiles.
Yeah, no kidding.
But a really fun kill team, a very different kill team, and I think probably going to be a very popular kill team as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the only thing you get in this box. You've also got a bunch of orcs in
Ah,
here.
mira,
The way
hay
that the
orcos,
orcs
hay orcazos.
work in this kill team is a little bit
Claro,
like the Red Terror
ya
set
decía
that
yo,
we had
digo,
recently, where they are
unos
effectively
biznagas.
non-player operatives. And
Le daré a
you
Víctor
can
el
play a bunch of
aprobado, le
different
daré el
games against these,
punto, porque
either as a
aunque
one-player
él me
or
ha
a
especificado
two-player
que eran otras
series.
cosas, no es
There is a
biznagas,
campaign in the box
se
which
lo doy
tells
por
the
aprobado.
story of an orc war
Porque ha dicho
which has
orcos.
landed on this planet. The orcs, who are beast snaggers, basically find a world full of monsters, and they're like, "This is a paradise.
Let's
Look at
snag
all
some
these,
beasts."
look at all
Pero
these
bueno,
giant beasts we
molan.
can hunt." The
Son los
Eldar are obviously
biznagas.
much less keen on that than the orcs.
Pero
And they
son
have to
los
try and
biznagas que
drive
ya había,
off the
porque este
orcs
me
so you
suena
can play
mucho,
through
¿eh?
this campaign. Also, of course, all the stuff in this
Es
box
que se
you
me
can
parecen
also
mucho a
use
los
in
biznagas que ya
Warhammer
existían.
40,000 as
Que son los
well.
Yeah, just
biznagas
to
que
give
ya
a
había, ¿no?
shout out to that Kill Team Exodite book. It's really cool. I got to have a look through it the other day. It's got
Nada, no.
great lore in it. There's stories from the perspective of the Eldari Exodites. There's also, like, that campaign has some
Claro, es
great
que son los
missions in it.
biznagas que ya
There's
había.
guides on how to set up
¿Qué es
your,
lo que
make
me
your
está
battlefield to
mosqueando?
look like a maiden world. It's a wonderful book.
Entonces las
They've done
cajas
an
un poco
amazing job
cajas.
sort of bringing this to life.
Yeah. Worth saying, one of the other ways that you can build up the kill team that you get in this set is as another unit, which is called the Dragon Knights. These are the archetypal, I suppose, the closest thing we've got to the classic version
Bueno,
of an
los
Exodite.
caballeros
Very
dragón, que es
reminiscent of
la
some of
otra
the very
manera de
cool
montarlos,
Warhammer 40,000 art from some of the early
con las
editions.
lancitas,
This is
bla, bla, bla.
effectively a fast cavalry unit of Exodites riding on those huge reptilian beasts. And they work a little bit in game, I suppose, like your Shining Spears, where they
Me
can
parecen
charge
mucho
in.
agradones,
They
¿eh?
actually have laser lances, which
Las
is the
poses
same
y tal
weapon
son
that
muy
Shining Spears
las
have.
de los
So they
agradones.
punch pretty hard, but as well as the rider on the back fighting,
You've
who's a
also
good
got
fighter.
a crazed reptile beast helping you fight, right?
Absolutely. So they hit really, really hard. They are they're not super durable, but they're a little bit more durable than some of the other kind of combat units you might find in an Eldari army. So they're going to be quite a useful little unit. I think you will see them dotted around various Warhammer 40,000 battlefields and Eldar armies quite soon. The other forces in this box, the Dragon Masters, you can also use in Warhammer 40,000. And the way that they work is that each one is effectively an individual character in your Eldari army. So you've got the kind of lone op sniper, you've got your fast-moving hero, you've
Hombre, la
got
verdad
a
es que
kind of buff
tienen,
support
habrá
piece.
que ver la parte
So
de los
effectively, this
fusiles
one
y
kill
las
team
mochilitas que
provides you
tienen
with
por
4
ahí
different data sheets for
para ver
Warhammer
las
40,000
conversiones
Eldari
cómo
armies.
se
So it's a really
podrían hacer,
flexible
pero sí.
little
Yeah, no kidding.
clump of stuff
Como
that you
dice
can add into
Ejecutor,
your
cuidado.
Eldari force.
Yeah, so Kill Team Exodite contains 3 Exodites and the 2 Dracolites.
Contiene 3
Obviously,
Exodites
these models will be available
y 3
separately down
Draconites,
the
que
line.
yo
So
creo
if
que
you
son
wanted to put
exactamente
loads
iguales,
into
lo que pasa
your
es que lo montas como
army,
Dragón,
that's
pero bueno.
completely legit. There are loads of reasons that an Eldari force might have Exodites in it as well. When you look at the history of the Eldari, the Craftworld
Pero
Bieltam
bueno,
is
eso ya lo
so
veremos el
affronted
domingo,
at the state
cuando
of the
pueda
Maiden
poner
Worlds
todas
that
las
they
fotos bien
aggressively
separadas, bien
defend Maiden
bonitas
Worlds from any
y todo ahí
interference.
perfecto, ¿vale?
Obviously, Alitok is known for the Rangers who travel around the webway and they visit all the Maiden Worlds on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
it's one of the main reasons the Eldari come into conflict with other races, right? They don't seek it out particularly, but one of the things that they have is this sort of cultural
Bueno, que no
association
paran
with
de
these
rajar,
planets, and
hacen cositas
whenever
por
anyone
Zelda,
invades,
bla,
it's
bla,
almost
bla,
like
bla,
it's
bla.
sacrilegious, right?
Yeah,
This is
sort of
the
protecting the last true
absolutely,
Maiden
yeah.
Eldari, really.
This is almost always
Yo creo que
why
esto
the
ya
Eldari
está,
will get
no
involved in a
sacarán
fight
nada
somewhere.
más,
Is
no
that
dirán
the
nada
craft
más.
worlds can fly off, but
Pero bueno, vamos a esperar un
planets can't really.
poquitico.
So when the Imperium shows up and decides to build a Forge world on your wonderful Paradise world, you have to kind of go and kick them off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth having a little look at
Pero
the
bueno,
models,
ahí
I think.
estaría.
So here we have
Hay que
a
ver el
stunt
primer
beast
libro con la
snagger,
mini que queda de Ogors.
sort of drafted in to pose, and then you
El
can
primer
get a
libro
sense
de
of the scale
campaña y
of
la
these
mini,
things when
sí,
you bring
ya verás.
the Exodite up alongside. They're
En
lithe.
estos bichos muchas ganas de ver lo que
really
sacan a los
muscular, but
Serafón.
they're still
Bueno,
an
los
impressive
Serafón
size model, and I
van a
think
sacar
they're
un
gonna be quite popular with people
héroe
want
lo
to
siento mucho,
do just beautiful paintings,
¿vale?
right? They're going to lend themselves really
No hay
towards
más.
that.
Yeah, I mean the models are beautiful. Like I think I really like
Es,
the
es lo que
leader
hay.
in
De
unit.
Serafón
particular,
ya
Yeah,
sabemos
the
there's
más o
leader
menos que
of
solo va a
the
tocar ellos.
Dragon Knights is just
Así
really,
que,
really
oye,
excellent
además
miniature.
que
I think just the kind of
estos,
straight
de
on
hecho, se
pose
parecen
for him.
más a los
I'd be amazed if we
agradones que
don't see a
cualquier
few
otra
of those
cosa.
at Golden Demons and things. He's got that beautiful back banner, obviously,
Los
which is
ves
lending
y
itself
dices, es que las
to
poses y
kind
todo
of whatever
parecen de
showing off
agradones.
painting scheme you'd like to have a go at. The reptiles they're riding themselves, you could paint in almost any color you can imagine, right? The heavy metal team here has gone for some really
Bueno, yo
cool,
creo que
vivid
están
color
cubriendo
schemes. You
ya
could
los
have
minutos que quedan
anything in
para
your paint collection you could
finiquitar,
paint these
porque ya
guys.
son
I
casi
think they're going to
la
be
hora y media
a
que
joy to
decían que
paint,
iban
and
a
I can't
tener
wait to see them on battlefield.
Absolutely.
de preview.
As I said before, like who had Exodus on their 2026 Warhammer bingo?
I think at least 3 people guessed
Well,
when we
you,
posted
you,
it.
you get to
Well
give yourself
done
a
you
little
if you
stamp.
guessed
Well
Exodus,
played.
yeah.
I'm delighted. They've existed in the lore for such a long time, and it's really exciting to see them
Yep.
like on the tabletop in this way.
Pero
before.
bueno,
This
a
is
ver
the
qué
first
tal.
time we've ever seen Exodites in plastic, and kind of the first time really we've seen them properly.
I think there was like
Pues
one
hay que
little
hacer sus
shred
choritas.
of
Pues
Like
venga,
cloth
pues,
a little,
on one of the Corsairs.
Bien por
Had a
Paco,
little
Paco.
an old
scaling.
little metal one for Epic, maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe,
Back
yeah.
in the day. And other than that, they've existed in the stories and in some scattered pieces of artwork. So what a happy time. We're very excited. And also, the love and passion that spilled out of the Warhammer studio as they told us about them was just infectious.
ahora se están
So
flipando.
hopefully you're as excited about these as we are, because they're very exciting. What else is there to say? We have come to the end of our
That was a lot of
preview.
stuff, Adam.
It was a lot of stuff. And we said it would be about
Era la
90 minutes,
última
and
cosita.
we're very, very nearly there. So thank you if you are still with us and enjoying the
Muy
Warhammer
bien,
preview. It's been lovely to have you
Adam.
with us.
No ha estado mal
I
la
should
preview,
round
me
up.
ha
There have been a
gustado.
couple of questions
Me ha
floating around.
agradado.
One of them I can field right now. Somebody asked in the chat, what's the cost to the Warhammer Academy? The cost is nothing. It is free. You'll need to log in
Mira,
and
es
sign
gratis la
up.
academia
But
de
it is
Warhammer.
designed to help you just get started with your Warhammer journey. So it doesn't cost anything. Just join in and start learning about Warhammer and sort of honing your skills and gaining confidence as you do so. If you've got more questions, well, we've got good news. A few weeks back, Eddie and I did a Q&A, and we had a nice time doing it. So we're going to do another one in a couple of weeks. So here is an email address appearing mystically on your screen. Quanda, that is Q&A
par de
at
semanas.
preview.warhammer.com.
Así que, bueno, eso
That is
está
where
guay.
you can start sending your questions. Hopefully, Warhammer-related questions, and specifically about things we've talked about in the preview.
I mean, you can send in any question, but we'll only answer the Warhammer.
Bueno,
related.
I have
puedes
very few
preguntarme
specialist
cualquier
subjects,
cosa,
and most of them
pero
revolve
dicen
around
que ojalá
Warhammer.
que,
So,
bueno,
yeah,
pero
please
hagan
do
que-
send us
que
Warhammer
lo
questions to
pongan
that Q&A in a couple of weeks' time. We'll let you know closer to when it's going to be. We'll go through those questions, we'll pick the best ones, and we'll sit down and have a little session where we read through them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I guess all that remains then is thank you, everybody, for coming and joining in this preview and spending some time with us. Thank you to all the people behind the scenes who pressed the buttons and moved the models
muchas
around and made it all
gracias,
work.
que
You are
felicidades,
champions.
que
Thank you,
sí,
Eddie,
jasjas.
for knowing all the answers and making
Oh,
me look
that's
good.
all right. I had a great time.
Brilliant. In that case, until next time, we will see you again very soon. Good night.
Vale, muy bien. Perfecto. Vale, chapo esto. Y nos vamos por aquí. Y a ver, que lo tengo que poner en esto. A ver ahora. Es porque esto lo tengo que editar. Pero bueno, ahora lo veremos. Bueno, tenemos dos cosas que podemos ver que nos interesan a nosotros un poquito más, ¿no? Que sería un poquito repasar un poco lo de Old War, lo de los caóticos. Vamos a mirar a ver si esto está bien puesto. Bueno, no está del todo bien puesto. Me gustaría que estuviese un poquitín más así. Y ahí más grande. Vale, vamos a ver esto como está de... Vale, sí, yo creo que más o menos se va a ver bien todo. Bueno, la cajota, el cajote este contra Katai, pues ¿qué tiene? Más o menos todo lo nuevo que han enseñado de Caos. Y luego, pues un poquito el tío a caballo de Katai, el a pie, 20 guerreros a pie, 5 lanceros y un cañón, ¿vale? Que se ven aquí, un tipo de problemática. Bien, ¿qué más tenemos? Bueno, aquí ya lo que nos enseñan los campeones, el portaestandarte. Me gusta el portaestandarte y este tiene una posición muy clásica, muy estática, que eso ya no me apasiona tanto. Me gusta más este casco que este con la calaverita, la verdad. Y el portaestandarte me gusta más este, es que los cuernos así, no tan arriba así, en plan pinta de cangrejo me gustan menos. Pero bueno, los caballeretes, que yo me los había perdido de alguna manera, pues bueno, aquí están. Opción de montaje con portaestandarte y la opción de montaje normal. Como veis, son 4, ¿vale? No cambia, bueno, tienen opciones de montaje diferentes, a ver. No, son exactamente lo mismo, ¿vale? Son exactamente lo mismo, salvo que cambiarán las armas, por lo que parece, y los cascos, ¿vale? Que tendrá más variedad de cascos tal y cual, y el portaestandarte pues que tendrá una opción de montaje un poquito diferente, ¿vale? Se podrán cambiar armas y casquetes, por lo que parece, ¿vale? Unidad de 4, como ya he dicho, sí, Andrés, para fastidiar. Si quieres hacerte 10, pues te tienes que comprarte 3 y 2 te sobran. Los guerreros del caos, que vienen 8, o al menos aquí en la imagen salen 8. Aquí los vemos con arma y escudo, y aquí con otra opción, yo creo que es el mismo estandarte. Sí, es el mismo estandarte, y las armas son diferentes, ¿vale? Diferentes opciones de armas. Y este es el grupito de mando, puede ser el líder, el músico, y luego hay uno acoplado, ¿vale? Pero bueno. Aquí dicen un poquito de cómo están... Y dice nada, que vienen desde el norte y poquito más. El dragón, que las imágenes son... esta es muy pequeñita. El dragón no es muy clásico de fantasy, salvo las cabezas. Las cabezas sí que podría ser. No hay opciones de montaje, salvo el tío que va arriba, ¿vale? Que lo podemos poner con un señor del caos, con un jefazo o con un hechicero. ¿Vale? Estos luego sí que tienen opciones de montaje diferente la cabeza, porque este tiene casco y aquí se ve que este no tiene casco. Así que tienen ciertas opciones lo que hay encima. Pero el dragón, lo que es el dragón, es monopose total. ¿Vale? Porque si no aquí nos hubiesen puesto algo diferente, las cabezas o algo así. Pero yo veo las cabezas exactamente iguales. Tendría que verlas un poquito, pero yo creo que la única... No, espérate, las cabezas no son iguales. Las cabezas no son iguales. No, porque este tiene los cuernos estos para arriba y este tiene los cuernos para abajo. Las cabezas se pueden cambiar del dragón, ¿vale? Pues las cabezas del dragón se pueden cambiar. Así que guay eso. El resto obviamente es bastante monopose, yo creo. Sí, porque esta cabeza quizás sí que sea más parecida. No, es diferente, ¿vale? No es la que sale. Ahora lo veremos, ¿vale? Ahora lo veremos, Rubén. Y luego, pues esto, que es lo que yo os decía, que el nuevo core es simplemente con las facs. Actualizado con las facs. Así que no es 2.0, es 1.5, si podríamos llamarlo. Luego el modo de juego que ya nos han dicho, las cajas, en las que viene todo lo nuevo del caos, más un señor del caos de hace 50 años. Pues ahí lo tenemos. Y unos marauder. ¿Vale? Y unos marauder, 5 marauder, a caballico. ¿Vale? Pues ahí estaría. Ah, bueno, y 20 armadores a pie. Pues bueno, oye, para meter todo lo nuevo del caos, está bastante bien. Lo único pues que te comes al Sorcerer Caos. Ahí. Pero ojo, esta caja por duplicado, tal y cual, para el que quiera llevárselos para hecho Sigmar, yo creo que más o menos. Lo malo es que les faltarían 2 caballeros del caos para completar los 10. Y se quedaría con 15 guerreros del caos, que sería una unidad de 10, porque las unidades son de 10, claro, le faltarían otros. Vale. No quiero hacer sangre, pero el nuevo reglamento está en castellano, no pone nada. Y aquí no lo van a decir, ¿vale? Aquí obviamente no lo van a decir. No lo van a decir aquí. Esto hasta que no vaya a salir, yo creo que no nos enteraremos. Pero bueno. Y el Arcane Journal y las cajitas, ¿vale? Bien. Y luego tendríamos lo que más nos interesa a nosotros, que son los ogretes, ¿no? La nueva caja de ogretes con todo lo nuevo, ya sabéis, el librito, que alguien ha dicho, lo que sale en la caja, no, lo que sale en la caja es el tirano, ¿vale? Era Rugames, ¿no? Es el tirano, ¿vale? ¿Qué nos enseñan? Pues bueno, tenemos aquí, yo creo que, bueno, el tirano, como hemos visto, la primera versión de montaje que no me gusta, lo siento mucho, no me gusta. Y la de Beastclaw me gusta más, pero querría verla girada, de frente, querría verlo de frente. Pero esta no me gusta nada. Esto de aquí, fuera, feo, no me gusta, lo siento mucho. Ah, vale, ya, bueno. Pero oye, quizá todavía pueden tener esperanza. No, en el otro BT creo, en el otro Battletome no es el bicho, pero ahora lo veremos, no te preocupes. Creo que no, pero lo he visto muy arriba. Luego, ¿qué tendríamos? Los glotones, los nuevos glotones que molan. El casco este que es como muy asiático, ¿no? A mí me suena como muy asiático. Está muy guapo. Y luego, pues, en la estética que le han metido nueva, no se parecen en nada a los glotones antiguos, ¿vale? Es totalmente diferente, molan mucho más, muchísimo más. Yo no me los quiero hacer, no me los haré, pero molan mucho más. ¿Vale? Pues aquí tendríamos, ¿cuántos son? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. ¿Vienen 10 en la caja? Sí, ¿no? Son estos aquí. Sí, ¿no? 2, 5, 5, 10. ¿Vale? Los glotones y los Iron Guts, que son los mismos. O no, aquí también venían los Iron Guts. Ah, no, ponen 10, pero son 5 Iron Guts y 5 glotones, ¿vale? 5 tripa hierro, como se llaman en español, y esto. Y por lo que parece, claro, no son la misma matriz, ¿vale? Porque son bastante diferentes. Vamos, cambiaría muchísimo, yo creo. Yo creo que cambiaría demasiado. Posición. Bueno, y estos son 3, lo que nos enseñan de los Iron Guts. Y vale, vienen 10 glotones, perdón, son 10 glotones, 3 Iron Guts y 2 de la caballería. Joder, que se me había ido, ¿vale? Los Iron Guts son 3. Se me ha ido completamente. Vale, bien. Los Iron Guts molan. Luego la caballería, la Molvis, que son 2, son solo 2 miniaturas, es lo único malo, que tiene esas 2 opciones de montaje diferente. Esta, que son más tipo clásicos, de ogretes, y esto que tiran más a los Beast Club, ¿vale? Esto tiran bastante más a los Beast Club Riders. Bueno, se llaman Molbeast Riders. Así que bueno, los anteriores a Caballería Molbeast y estos son los Molbeast Riders. Y tiran un poquito más a lo que serían al otro, ¿no? Luego de Red Maw, que como he dicho, pues esta primera foto no nos podemos hacer idea de la peana bien, pero ojo, esta fotito de aquí, esta con esta, para esta tarde-noche os puedo hacer una comparativa de tamaño, ¿vale? Intentaré hacerlo. Si no me apetece quedarme en el sofá jugando el Sixon, ¿vale? Pero bueno, el carnicero me parece muy bueno. Ojo con la opción, que no lo habíamos visto, creo, de la opción de cabeza con la capucha de un, de los patíbulos, de un ejecutor de estos. Ojo, que mola bastante, me gusta más con la capuchola, pero el resto está genial. Y luego los cleavers. Los cleavers son nuevos, ¿no? No teníamos antes, que son seguidores del carnicero, tal, ¿no? Por lo que pone, finalmente, por ahora, for now, tendremos a los cleavers, infantería de élite, joder, pero sí, infantería de élite en ogros, ¿eh? ¿Vale? Pueden atravesar líneas enemigas con un apetito arcano, y que van mejor contra sacerdotes y magos. Ya sabéis, amigos. ¿Vale? Unidad de 3. Y la otra opción que tenemos aquí, vamos a ver. Quiero mirar las posiciones de los pieces. Sí, esa opción de montaje diferente con los otros, ¿vale? Que los Gatsir, que son guerreros que marchan con encantamientos y tal. Algo que decían, ¿no? En el directo, algo en plan de chamánicos, un poquito así, ¿no? Tal, que pueden apoyar a los magos de tu ejército gracias a su fe y y a toda esa adivinación. Pues hay una cabeza de gorila en el caldero, vamos a mirarla, a ver. Si tú lo dices, Andrés, pues yo me lo creo. ¿Vale? Luego lo miraré. Ya lo miraremos bien. Y luego aquí, no, aquí en la portada el que sale esto es un Iron Guts, ¿no? Son Iron Guts y el nuevo tío montado. Estos son los Malvis. Ah, no, no son los Malvis Riders. Puede ser, ¿eh? No son los Malvis Riders. Ojo, 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 Rugames. Ojo, Rugames. Estás ahí a tope, ¿eh? Vamos a hacerle suma a esto. Es que también se parecen a los bichos de los Biscloud un poquito, ¿no? Epa, joder, el hago zoom para luego darle. Ojo, ojo, que ahí estás ahí un poquito. Ojo que podría ser. Pero aún así me parece un poquito pequeño, ¿eh? Ojo, ojo, que podría ser, ¿eh? Podría ser ese que estamos viendo ahora en pantalla ahí detrás. Podría ser. El lunes lo vemos. El lunes lo vemos fijo. Así que, ojo. Así que sí, sí. Puede ser eso. Puede ser esto perfectamente. Que lo único que me sorprende, porque esta podría ser una opción. Claro, es que lo que se decían los rumores es que había un personaje, ¿no? La hija del pibe este, tal y cual, que iba a estar un bicho muy tocho. Este bicho no me parece lo suficientemente tocho, siendo sinceros. Y esta podría ser la opción genérica, pero me parece raro que esté el Lionheart simplón en la portada y no el jefecito. Así que habrá que ver, habrá que ver. Habrá que ver. Habrá que ver. Pero sí, tienes toda la razón, Rubén. Bueno, el Battleton, pero bueno, todo esto lo veremos ya un poquito mejor en el vídeo, ¿vale? En el vídeo correspondiente. El domingo. En el directo del domingo pondremos a hacer un análisis, veremos el War Scroll y hablaremos un poquito de cómo funciona todo esto. ¿Ok? En general a mí me ha gustado la preview, aunque he bostezado 3 veces. Pero bueno, lo que tiene cuando te ponen ahí cosas que ni te van ni te vienen. Pero bueno, no ha estado mal, ¿vale? No está mal. Habrá que estar, pues eso, vamos a estar atentos, vamos a ver si Bull pone alguna cosilla más. Recapitularemos los rumores que decían de qué es lo que Bull dijo sobre Ogros, ¿vale? Y veremos a ver cómo lo ponemos, ¿vale? Cómo lo ponemos. Tengo que hacer una sección en el Discord con los rumores, ya que Ejecutor ya no tiene lo suyo en TGA, así que tenemos que hacer algo por ahí para darle caña. Vale, pues nada, que nos vemos el domingo, chavales. El domingo con analizando esto ahora no me sale, se me ha trabado la lengua. En detalle, lo veremos en detalle el domingo y le daremos caña. ¿Ok? Venga, eso, a cenar como